Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon. What's up, guys? Hey, Koros, hey, Kalandra. Thank you so much for Prime, Colliver. Thanks for 8 months, Nokin. How are you doing? How is life? What's up with corn dogs? Hoi, Schwarzsplinte. What's up? Wie war die Fete? Alles zu richten? Und zwar Bier wuschen? My camera angle is a bit... I forgot that I didn't put up the camera properly. Oh, wait. It was good and I fucked it up. I guess I just have to move this a bit. Just what it is. Well. There we go. Ja, Prinz hat auch ausgepasst. Super war's. I'm good, Sleazy. How are you doing? Good morning, Stricken. New patch is about corn dogs. Oh, there we go. Of course it is about corn dogs. How could it not be? Yeah, the cake did turn out really good. I was honestly surprised how good it was. Like, how good it actually tasted. It was really good. The unicorn cake was a bit better than the other cake. Mainly because the ganache was better. Because the dark chocolate ganache was too... Like, I used the wrong ratio. I should have used 1:1, and I used 2:1. Yeah. So the ganache was too firm. And then it was also, like, when you were eating it, the chocolate was a bit, like... It was not soft enough, basically. But, either way, it was good. My weekend was good, Exilian. Thank you so much. Thanks for 4 months. How you doing? Hey, Luke. What's up? But yeah, everyone loved the cakes. Unfortunately, I didn't take a picture on how the cake looked like inside. And I was so sad that I didn't take a picture, actually. I'm an idiot. I took pictures of the cakes as they were, like, finished, but I didn't take a picture how they looked like when they were cut. I did even take a video on how they were cutting the cakes. And then I stopped the video right as they were, like, cutting the slice. I don't know. I'm an idiot. I don't know why. But here's a video on... Wait. Look, here's how they cut the video. The cakes. Look at those cutie pies. Look at them. So cute. But yeah, unfortunately, I literally paused it as we're done cutting it for some reason. It looked cute though, look. Look how cute they were. Thanks for 7 months. Obviously appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you, Imp. Thank you very much. It was so funny. Like the actual thing that we bought, David. What is it called? Oh my god, I still don't know the name of it. It's basically a bicycle, but it fits 6 people. What are they called? Do they have a name? It's actually a rickshaw. It is something like this. They look like this. This one here. A Surrey bike? Surrey bike? Is that the word? I've never heard of that before. Quad cycle. A Surrey bike. Apparently that's what it's called. A six-cycle. Yeah, I think that's the name here. Surrey. Anyway, so we had one of these things here. And that's what we bought David for his birthday. They got it from Jesolo, from an Italian beach city. They picked it up and drove it here in the morning on Saturday. And then he had to drive us around with this thing. And we went from one bar to the other bar, and we picked up people from their homes. And then we were just, driving around celebrating. It was a lot of fun. I did take some videos and put them on my Instagram. Like this, we obviously had like a. We had. Oh God, that was beautiful. Look how close it was, like we barely fit. It was a difficult drive. But we made it. Look, we also crossed the bridge. We barely fit over. Look. It barely fit. It was great though. He had to wear a crown, of course. We were here, just here where I live. Look how cute this one looked though. Oh yeah, I was taking the picture. On the one that you just saw. Wait, that was a short video. Hey James, thank you so much for 2 months. What's up? Which house did you see in your picture? Oh, it looks scary. It looks very cool. I love that house. This is what it looked like. In the front there was a red carpet. I bought a red carpet, and he had to he was not allowed to leave the bike without stepping on the red carpet or enter the bike, so that's very important. I love this picture because you can see the thing in the background, it's great. Oh, and then they also were driving. Beautiful. Look how good this picture was as well. Wait a second. Where did it go? Look at that. How good is this picture? Look at the castle in the background, the bike in the foreground, the birthday boy. Amazing. Yeah, it was fun. It was great. Hey, Jordan. Hey, Alexander, what's up? How do you get my Hearthstone CD down from half hour, please? The internet comes up at the event. Less than half an hour? I don't know. I'm sorry. Can somebody tell Ben how to get a lower Hearthstone cooldown, maybe? It was David's birthday. And Julius. Well, it wasn't Monday, but... Oh, this was also a great video. Look at that. You need to listen to the tunes as well. And where's the music? Why can't I hear the music? Oh. Did it break? Look. That's so cute. Also, it's super exhausting to to drive around with this thing, actually. If there was like a slight elevation going up, it was... You have to use all of your strength. Also, like, the pedals were a little bit, like, they were not, like, 100% straight. They had a little bit of, like, a bend. So, it was slightly difficult. Oh, just being in a guild, apparently. If you're in a guild band, then you get the lower CD. So maybe you just have to be in a guild. Maybe you just need friends. All you need is friends. I didn't even see this video. Oh, that's great. Anyway, sorry. So, how was your weekend, guys? Anything fun? Did you do anything fun? Did you play a lot of video games? Did you watch a lot of cool stuff? Did you drink a beer or two? You excited for the pirate patch tomorrow? Oh, it was St. Patrick's Day. Oh. Yeah, the pirate patch tomorrow. We don't know what's gonna be. It's a secret pirate patch tomorrow. You fell back down the league rabbit hole. Oh no. Oh no. Don't do that. Leave while you can. Lots of people have major hangovers this morning. Oh, I see. Well, I had a major hangover yesterday morning. It wasn't that bad, honestly. Like, I was really drunk on Saturday, but I was somewhat okay on Sunday. I was somewhat okay. I even went on a very short hike. Good morning, Jin. What's up? Introducing Jam on desktop. Listen and choose songs together in real time. Hey, Im, thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate that. So I think I'm gonna get my NA account ready for the patch. I think. But I'll see later. Because I do have an NA account. And I can just subscribe to the NA account to be able to play the Pirate Patch earlier. I'll see if I do that. I mean, I will for sure play the patch tomorrow. I just don't know yet how exactly. But yeah, we're definitely playing Pirate Patch tomorrow. That's happening. Jin. I'm literally from the MacDay family on my mother's side, and we have our own Irish tartan and family crest. I'm obligated to get drunk on St. Patrick's Day. Well, if you're obligated to do that, then it is what it is. I hope you had some fun, Stricken. I hope you had a good time.
I have many, many wares.
So today I have to leave at 5:50. Maybe a bit earlier, actually. At like 5:45. So I can't stream that long, unfortunately. But it's okay. We're just waiting for the Pirate Patch anyway. There's nothing to do. I can tell you my plan for the week before we start gaming. It's not called a pirate patch, it just has a pirate flag. It's a secret patch, we don't know anything about it. All we know is that it's like related to pirates somehow. Alright, so today I'm streaming until 5:45 because I have a meeting later. And then tomorrow I will stream a bit later. Ooh, I could technically go hiking tomorrow. Wait, I'm an idiot. I was thinking about going hiking Wednesday or Thursday, but if I stream late tomorrow, I can go hiking tomorrow. Why wouldn't I go tomorrow? Yeah, I should go tomorrow. I think it's nice weather tomorrow too. Or is it? Yeah, it's nice weather tomorrow. Yeah, I should go hiking tomorrow. I'll go tomorrow. Yeah, that's a good thing. Good plan, good plan. Writing it down. So I'll go hiking tomorrow and then stream a bit later. I think I'll just hike up the same mountain again and go down with the lift because I don't know what else to do without having to go down. It's incredible. It's certainly a bit boring to hike up the same mountain all the time. But I don't want to go back down. I just want to go up. I could technically go up and then... Yeah, but I need skis somehow. I don't know. Thanks for 23 months, Sammy. Thank you so much. No, it won't be 5 p.m. It will be earlier than that. Much earlier than that. Then Wednesday, I think I do an early stream both Wednesday and Thursday. Unless I have something to do in the morning on either of those days. Well, early streams like around 10 or 11. Actually, one day will be earlier. And then Friday I also do an early stream. Because Friday we invited Babsi and Michi. So we're gonna cook something for them. Ooh, I actually want to know how to do the rice thing. I need to quickly watch a YouTube video. Also, this music is tilting me right now. I don't want to listen to this. This is too much. It's too much. Okay, this is better. Yeah, so I'm gonna cook the same thing that I already cooked before. So that one. So on Friday I'll do the thing in the morning with the. I have to go shopping at some point on Thursday. I can do it Thursday morning. Okay. See you again. Never see you again. What was it called again? What was this like rice pudding thing called? I wanted to try that one. What's it called? Hey, Gatron, what's up? Hey, Shani. Reek was like R-H-E-E-K? Yeah, that is what it's called. I'm quickly googling how difficult it is to make. Never see you again. Man, apparently it's a very popular thing. But there's different ones. Oh my god. Oh wait, is this one on my Bimbi maybe? Any Bimbi recipes? That'd be convenient. Oh, it is, but it only has, doesn't have like great. Let's take a look at this one.
तो क्या है ना, वैसे ज्ञान नहीं दे रहा हूँ मैं, पर मेरी कोशिश यही रहती है कि ज़िंदगी और खाना वो हमेशा सिंपल रहे, जितना कॉम्प्लिकेट ना हो उतना अच्छा है।
We're just gonna have to read subtitles.
तो सिंपल रेसिपीज़ में जो मज़ा है ना, मतलब जो यादें हैं वो कॉम्प्लिकेटेड रेसिपीज़ में नहीं है। तो लोग मुझे बोलते हैं शेफ़ गिरी वाली रेसिपीज़ डालो, में बोलता नहीं। यहाँ पर जो है ना सिंपल सादा खाना, मतलब सादी रोटी खाएंगे और मतलब लोगों से जुड़ते जाएंगे वाला सीन है। तो ऐसी एक सिंपल सादी सी रेसिपी है खीर। मतलब अच्छी खीर मिल जाए तो और क्या चाहिए, कुछ नहीं चाहिए ना। तो अच्छी खीर बनाते हैं सिंपल सादी।
It's gonna make my day, guys.
पहले वो सुगम संगीत आ रहा है जो आप स्किप करने वाले हैं, वो भी मतलब स्किप कर दीजिए फिर।
Rolling and action.
और चावल हैं
So we need milk and rice.
चाहिए दूध और चावल।
That's it? Oh, so it's just milk. It's just rice pudding. Wait, without sugar? Oh, sugar.
मतलब
Okay.
बोलते हैं ना सिंपल रेसिपीज आर द मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट टू मेक। तो आज वो एक सिंपल रेसिपी आपके लिए क्रैक कर देंगे। अब आमतौर पे लोग कहते हैं बासमती राइस, बासमती राइस, बासमती राइस। खीर के लिए बासमती राइस यूज नहीं करना, ठीक है? बासमती राइस जो है
Which rice are we
मैं
using
हमेशा कहता हूँ ब्रिटल राइस होता है। ब्रिटल समझते हैं आप? ब्रिटल मतलब भुरभुरा। हाँ, तो भुरभुरा चावल नहीं चाहिए। अपने को चाहिए चावल जो कि
sticky rice. What's sticky
जो
rice?
कि खीर को गाढ़ा करे। जो भी आपके पास शॉर्ट ग्रेन राइस है वो यूज कर ले हैं। अगर सोना मसूरी है, सोना मसूरी यूज कर लें। कोलम है, कोलम यूज कर रहे हैं।
Oh my god, I've never heard that before in my life. What is sona masuri or kolam? Holy shit.
अगर आप दक्षिण भारत में सीरक का सांबा है, जीरा राइस जिसको बोलते
Sriracha
हैं वो है, तो
samba?
वो
Oh
यूज करना है।
God.
जो आपका शॉर्ट ग्रेन राइस है,
English it is known as glutinous rice or waxy rice.
अंग्रेजी में हम उसे ग्लूटिनस राइस कह देते हैं, वैक्सी राइस कह देते हैं, वो यूज।
Any rice is not basmati? Well, let me see what rice I have. So we have jasmine rice, whatever that is. Is that short grain? No, that one's long grain. Okay, so not jasmine. Then we have carnaroli. That one might be short grain. Oh, it's also long grain. What the fuck? Okay, so only have long grain rice apparently. Then we have sushi rice. Whatever that is. Oh, short grain. So I use this one? Short grain rice. Well, it's literally called sushi rice. I'm sure I know what rice it is. Originario rice. I think regular rice will do. Well, there is no such thing as regular rice, right? What do you, which kind of rice is regular rice? Jasmine is also sticky rice, but he said short grain. And jasmine is long grain. I'll just use the sushi rice. Whatever. Yep, I'll use this one. Okay, good. Then continue.
कर लें, उससे खीर का टेक्सचर अच्छा आएगा। बासमती राइस इज नॉट गुड फॉर खीर, ठीक है। अभी सवाल ये उठता है कि कितना राइस, कितना दूध। तो एक बेसिक रूल समझ लीजिए। तो अगर आप खीर बना रहे हैं तो 50 से 60 ग्राम चावल, मैक्सिमम टू मैक्सिमम 60 ग्राम राइस। 60 ग्राम थोड़ी सी गाढ़ी खीर के लिए और 50 ग्राम नॉर्मल खीर के लिए। ये आधा कप है, हाँ। तो इस आधे कप नॉर्मल खीर के लिए, खीर के लिए मैक्सिमम टू मैक्सिमम 60 ग्राम।
What does
normal.
vicious? What does that mean? What word is that? It means thick, sticky consistency. Oh. So, okay, so basically it's more liquid with 50 gram and like thicker with 60.
ये आधा कप है, हाँ। तो इस आधे कप में आप ये समझ लीजिए कि 1/4 कप से थोड़ा ज्यादा, 50 ग्राम चावल का हिसाब आपको लग गया। अभी शक्कर कितनी डालनी है इसके, शक्कर नहीं बताऊंगा मैं, वरना लोग बोलेंगे चलो शक्कर बता दी, चावल बता दिया, वीडियो बंद करो, घर को जाओ। ऐसा थोड़ी ना होता है। शक्कर नहीं बताऊंगा मैं लास्ट तक। ठीक है। अभी राइस को करना है सोक। चावल को धोना है, भिगोना है, सुखाना है, ठीक है। धोना, भिगोना, सुखाना। नहीं, ये डिटर्जेंट की ऐड नहीं हो रही। चलिए, सुखाना नहीं है, भिगोना है और धोना है, ठीक है। सुखाना भी है, वो किस लिए सुखाना है वो भी बताता हूँ। मैंने कहा लगे हाथ फिरनी भी बता देता हूँ ना, अब खीर बता रहा हूँ तो फिरनी भी बता देता हूँ। तो उसके लिए धोना है, भिगोना है और सुखाना है। तो ये जो चावल है ना, ये चावल हमने धोया, भिगोया और सुखाया हुआ है, ठीक है। और इसको पीस लेंगे फिरनी के लिए। रेशियो वही है, रेशियो क्या है 50। फिरनी में 60 मत करिए, क्यों? क्योंकि चावल जो है वो टूटेगा, राइट। और जब वो चावल टूटेगा तो टूटने के बाद ज़्यादा मिल्क सोक करेगा, मिल्क को ज़्यादा गाढ़ा करेगा, इसलिए 50 ग्राम वर्क्स बेटर। 60 ग्राम्स इज नॉट अ गुड आइडिया व्हेन इट कम्स टू फिरनी, ठीक है जी।
I'm confused.
तो जी
Like, it's like
फिरनी
50
के
gram
लिए
per.
ये धोया, भिगोया और सुखाया हुआ, ठीक है।
Like, how many
और
portions
खीर
are we
के लिए
making?
सिर्फ धोया
Can you actually only use 60 grams? Like, can you only make one portion, or how many? Like, I don't know. I'm confused.
और भिगोया हुआ। देखो सब कुछ मैं ऐसे नाप तोल के कर रहा हूँ आज, देख रहे हैं आप? ऐसे रणवीर बरार बहुत कम करता है। आज मैं एकदम गुड टीचर मूड में हूँ। मतलब बाद में मतलब कोई ये ना कहे कि रणवीर ने दूध ज़्यादा डाला था हमको कम बताया, चावल ज़्यादा डाला था हमको कम बताया। जो है वो आपके सामने वही आज। हाँ, हंसते खेलते जो खाना बन जाए वो अच्छा है साहब। जिंदगी
Good
क्या
morning,
है?
SP.
चंद
What's up, what's up?
मुस्कुराहटों की, चंद दावतों की मोहताज ही तो
Are we
है।
watching old people food? What's old people
तो
food?
ये है जी खस की जड़, ठीक है। खस के
Rice pudding?
शरबत पीते थे ना आप बचपन में, हाँ
Is
वो
old
वाला
people
खस।
food? What the
तो
fuck?
मैंने सोचा आज जो भी बना ही रहे हैं तो खस की खीर बनाते हैं, खस की जड़ डाल के। बहुत ही बेसिक, सिंपल, इजी है जी, कोई रॉकेट साइंस है नहीं इसमें। इसको 2 बार ऐसे पानी में
And
डाल
what is
के
this?
और निकाल ले। रॉकेट साइंस बनाते हैं बचपन में। ये है जी की जिंदगी क्या है? चंद मुस्कुराहटों की, चंद दावतों की मोहताज ही तो है। तो ये है जी खस की जड़, ठीक है।
That's in our
खस के
roots?
शरबत पीते थे ना आप बचपन में,
Oh my god, what is that?
तो
Do I
मैंने
need
सोचा
this?
आज जो भी बना ही रहे हैं तो खस की खीर बनाते हैं, खस की जड़ डाल के। बहुत ही बेसिक, सिंपल, इजी है जी, कोई रॉकेट साइंस है नहीं इसमें। इसको 2 बार ऐसे पानी में डाल के और निकाल लेना है, ठीक है जी। अब जड़ है ना, अब जड़ है तो मिट्टी होगी। अब ये मलमल को जी मैं धो लिया है थोड़ा सा।
Well, shit.
इसके अंदर
I
मार
don't know
होता है
what
ना,
the
वो
fuck is
निकल
this.
जाएगा।
I guess you can add whatever you want to your rice pudding.
नाइस। जब तक दूध उबल रहा था कहानी सुन लीजिए खीर की, फिरने की कहानी फ्री। तो खीर जो वर्ड है ना, वो वर्ड
Oh yeah, we're
लेकिन
not
में भी
listening
थे,
to this.
तो वो शीर यानी कि दूध से बनने वाली पुडिंग को हमने धीरे धीरे खीर कहना शुरू कर दिया। तो वहां से जो खीर टर्म
Wait, so
है
this
वो
is
वहां
just
से
normal rice pudding, basically.
दूसरा अगर फिरनी की बात करें तो ये कहते हैं कि फिरनी जो है वो फेरने से बना, कि जब आप पाउडर्ड राइस फ्लावर को दूध में डाल के फेरते थे धीरे धीरे, तो उसको फेर कर बनाया जाता था। तो
So
उससे
फेरने
उसका
something
नाम
else
फिरनी
again?
पड़ गया कि फिरी हुई खीर है, बहुत इसको फेरा जाता है। पुराने ज़माने में एक
Oh,
आया था
really?
कि एक बार खीर बन रही थी, गलती से उसको
Oh, so it's that late? Huh. Well, that doesn't matter.
ज़्यादा फेर दिया तो वो घुट गई, तो बिल्कुल पाउडर हो गई, तब से उसका नाम फिरनी पड़ गया। देखिए सच है या झूठ, कहानी अच्छी है कि नहीं। और अब ये कौन सा वाला चावल है? ये है भीगा हुआ, धुला हुआ, सुखाया हुआ, पिसा हुआ फिरनी के लिए। 50 ग्राम टू 1 लीटर।
What is
तो रट
Fearney?
गया
I'm so
सबको।
confused.
सबको मैं ऐसा मतलब फिरनी एक्सपर्ट बना दूंगा ना।
I don't like this guy. I'm gonna watch a shorter video. It's rice pudding with almonds? What? They use basmati rice. Wait, they're mixing the rice? Oh, now I'm fucking confused. That's the complete opposite of the other video. Cardamom. What is koa? Oh god. Yeah, I'm not making this. Fuck it. I really want to eat rice pudding though. But this already looks too complicated. It's too complicated. There's some different ones. Badam, rich and creamy. I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. We're not doing this. Fuck it. Just make rice pudding with vanilla. Yeah, I could just make, or I just don't do it at all. Like I only would cook the rice pudding if it's actually like fit, like if it's like an Indian thing and it fits to the rest of the dinner. Otherwise, we'll figure something out. Whatever, it's not gonna be. We'll figure something out. Thanks for 16 months, Lester. Thank you so much. Memories. I also do have a bunch of leftover stuff from the cake baking. Maybe we do something with that if it lasts until Friday. Maybe not. Well, actually, maybe it does last until Friday. The pastry cream probably lasts. I would assume. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm Googling. How long does pastry cream last in the fridge? 5 days. Well, that's unfortunate because it's a week. It's 7 days that it has to stay. Fuck. Okay. I guess no pastry cream then. The ganache for sure lasts. Well, actually, maybe that one doesn't last either because it has cream in it. How long does white chocolate ganache last? Five days. Fuck! I should have frozen it! If I would have frozen all of the stuff, it would have lasted longer. Oh shit, I forgot I have coffee. Oh god. Thank you so much for the raid, Thickabella. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. Thank you. Hope you had a nice stream. Everything with cream max 5 days. Yeah, I guess all of the stuff that is in my fridge is gonna last 5 days. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What they do with this stuff? Jesus Christ. The buttercream probably lasts longer, but that one's also the worst thing that is in the fridge. I'm sorry, Faramont. Yeah, I wasn't sure because the meeting was set to like 10, 11 a.m. And then at some point I realized, wait, it might not be my time zone. And then it turned out it wasn't my time zone. So now it's actually gonna be the evening. And I didn't know until today. Or I wasn't sure until today. Okay. Let's play video games. What the fuck? My flashlight. Dude, my nails look messed up. I'm gonna have to fix that at some point. Oh, I should wash my hair today too. I haven't washed my hair in forever. I need a throne. Weekly shower, yeah. You're not one of the chosen ones who test 10.2.6 today? Wait, who's testing 7.2.6 today? What do you mean? Who said that? Students and influencers are chosen to test today? That's just not true. That is so messed up. Chrome TV? Well, what did Chrome TV say, or where link whatever they were saying? Either way, they're not testing it today. That's just not happening. Honey bear, I see what you're saying. My mom's second boyfriend is testing it today. Are you talking about it being moved to an internal test server? The patch? That just means that the internal team is testing it. That doesn't mean that influencers or like streamers are testing it, right? If that's what you mean. Just because it was moved to a different like internal server or a test server doesn't mean that other people are testing it that are not part of Blizzard, right? So that 3, yeah, what does that mean? So what? Calandra. But yeah, I do know things. If that's what you're asking. I have the information. I cannot share the information, but I have the information. Hey Sim, what's up? But it's incredible how, like, what did... Like, I don't know why, but somehow people have a hard time keeping things to themselves. It's... It's just very weird how people have a hard time literally just not talking about it. It's like, just don't. Hey Mark, what's up? How you doing? Let's watch this video though about season 4.
Faded's been weird. We've been hearing a little bit about the Faded season. I can give you a couple anecdotes. So we actually talked about this a little bit on the podcast yesterday. So we had to find a few statements to kind of realize what they're trying to do in this season. I have one from Holly Longsdale, which is in Modern World.
Yeah, I'm also a little bit confused about season... Well, I'm not confused about season 4. It seems pretty straightforward to me, honestly. But the one thing I am slightly confused about is, like, when is it going to come out? Because they didn't say anything about it, really, yet. But there hasn't been any, like, concrete information about it, so it's like...
Actually, I can pull it up on the screen here.
I hope it's, like, in, like, mid-April or something, but apparently I don't think so anymore.
So, WoW Roadmap 2024. It's the first post, and it's, like, 3 paragraphs down. Here it is. In Modern World of Warcraft...
Yeah, see, it literally says season 4. Like, to me, this is, like, early spring, even, like, end of winter. Right? It's, like, from just, like... Obviously, this is, like, a picture. It doesn't have exact dates, but...
Blah, 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 blah. We'll be wrapping up this. Dragonflight Season 4 will revisit Dragonflight's
But if it comes out in May, then it's like, come on.
Dungeons and Raids. Again, this was back in, like, November, I think. Along with outdoor content featuring updated, so there's new outdoor content, which wasn't true last Faded.
They should put not to scale, yeah, I mean,
and then
but it kind of is to scale in a sense, right?
Okay. So
obviously not exactly, but
they're going to go do rotate raids again.
What's the point of this otherwise?
A lot of people are like, I don't want this. Like, I have not heard a single section of the community be like, I can't wait to do Mythic Razageth again. I want to do Mythic Sarkareth. No one wants to go back and...
Dude, listen. While we listen to this, I'm gonna do my fucking fingernails. Let's go. What color do we... Whatever.
Do this stuff. It's like... It's just not what people want. They don't want that this patch. So...
Yeah, use this color. It's cute.
Just, nah, don't want to do that. I think it was like a little bit more acceptable last expansion because going back to Castle Nathri was sick because Castle Nathri was sick. This expansion didn't really have a raid like that. Like, the closest raid to that is this one, and it's like, we're already here, you know? So I don't think that is wanted, and I also just think that that concept is just not a good thing going forward. But yeah, they said that. And then I've noticed some things recently where, I'll give you another thing. So Ian Hazakost in an interview said this. We're bringing forward pretty much everything from the Shadowlands Season 4, except new raid affixes, or except the new raid affixes and the mechanical modifiers. So they're saying there isn't going to be affixes in the raid.
I use this one.
And he also says, so it's really just more, let's bring all 3 raids back in rotation, let's bring all of the Dragonflight dungeons back as a Dragonflight Seasonal Mythic Plus pool, and close out the season that way. Okay, so it's like kind of letting you know, it's kind of what you already think, it's Dragonflight dungeons for Mythic Plus.
Yeah.
It is rotating raids and without affixes. But they need to make you more powerful because no one just wants to go through progression in these raids again. Like, they should really make you... But this is a whole other conversation. But the reason why I'm saying all this is recently Towley alluded to on his stream that they wouldn't be rotating raids. Now, this is not insignificant. Towley knows more people at Blizzard and gets leaked more info than anyone by far. And he has a very special quality of not even kind of giving a fuck. And he'll just say it. So I'm wondering if we haven't heard anything yet. I wonder if they heard the negative feedback, and it has been overwhelmingly
I'm using
negative about
foil.
Raids.
It's like
I wonder if
UV
they
gel
pivoted.
strips.
And if they pivoted, then I wonder what it actually is going to look like. And I hope they did, because again, if I've been holding out hope for Faded, I hope they cook. They came up with really good things. If you forget the actual gameplay loop of last Faded, they came up with the upgrade system that basically exists now. We tried out some dinars. We tried rotating dungeons. Like, it was really successful in the future of WoW. Not as much.
Hey, Ren, thanks so much. What's up? How are you doing?
I think whatever the post today is, it sounds like they did a little bit of that, although I don't think this is the full Mythic Plus post. I think this is basically just a post about whatever they did with the key level system, from what I've seen. I haven't read it yet, just from the responses I saw on Twitter. But man, I really think people are going to be really unhappy if it's just, like, rotating raids again. just straight up. And also, I hope they give us some more power.
I mean, I think people are
hope-
gonna be
like, I
unhappy
don't
either
know.
way
Like,
for
just
this
give us
fated season,
corruption.
no?
Like, this is the end of the expansion.
Give us
us
corruption.
some fucking crazy shit where we're on crack and make the raids not some super, super hard re-progressing thing. Like, let us just fucking blast the content and actually, like, kind of go wild for a little bit. I don't know. I think that would be great. I think the game could use that. In Dragonflight, as well as it, or as good as it was a rebuilding expansion. They were rebuilding core foundational parts of the game, and for the first time in a...
I do wonder if that, like, I understand what he's saying, like, let us blast, like, I get that. Thanks for 16 months, Lillian Darkheart, thank you so much, appreciate that, welcome back. Like, I do agree with, like, the let us blast, thing. Because I think people are generally happy if they get really powerful. Is it a pregnancy test? Yes, I'm gonna do a pregnancy test now live on stream. Like, are you thinking before you're writing things, or like, are you using your brain? Is this attached? Is it connected? Maybe turn it off and on again. I think it might be malfunctioning. Anyway, so I do agree, like, the thing that letting us blast, I think is a good idea. Somehow. The only thing that I'm wondering is, hey, Star Classics, thanks for 16 months, what's up? Thank you very much. I'm not 100% sure if people actually would like if the content is super easy. Like, what if you're just blasting through the raid and it's just like, you're just one-shotting things? Like, is that actually fun? Like, I'm wondering, is it fun to just blast through the whole thing? Because at that point, it's like doing LFR, right? Like, is LFR fun? I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's hard to tell. Yeah, I think if it's no challenge at all, then it is not fun, right? I don't know. Like, blasting through stuff is one thing. Like, being really powerful is one thing, but I feel like there has to be some form of challenge for it to actually be enjoyable. Otherwise, you're doing LFR, and people don't like LFR, even if you're blasting through it. Right? I don't know. A
long time. They weren't working on these systems since the beginning of the expansion. But, like, what you did have happen in a couple of those expansions was you got cool
hey,
things in
Punctualis,
the package.
thank you so much for 2 months.
Recently,
What's up?
that Dobby, or Dobby, however you say his name, the nascent guy in that post said that, like, WoW is too predictable. And that is true, right? Like, now that we're in the post-borrowed power era, you literally just get raids, Mythic Plus dungeons, and a new zone every patch. It used to be that plus brand new system. Like a PoE seasonal almost. Like,
yeah, I do understand no one wants to
about this a lot on
reprogress. That
podcasts
is true.
yesterday.
That I understand for sure.
Like, I think they can do that. And it's not, and people will be like, well, they weren't very good at it. It took too long for those things to be good. True. But you know what's kind of crazy? They got the exact same thing wrong on all of them. Somehow, I don't know how. Accessibility and how you acquired all of those things was exactly what was bad, and they fucked that thing up every single fucking time. They've gotten better at accessibility since they've made these systems. They actually, accessibility and acquirability and all of those things. Acquirability is not a word, but like how you acquire things, that they have been way better at that in Dragonflight, except for the legendaries, actually. But I don't know. I would love to see Season 4 be a little bit more on that path, you know? I've used this paint diagram before, but, you know, if this is the how good the expansion is quality-wise, this line, I don't know why I'm... I can just do one line. If this is how good the expansion is quality-wise, and this is how long the expansion has been out, Legion and BFA specifically started out at such monumentally low spots, and then they just got way better throughout the expansion, and they ended in amazing. The end of Legion and the end of BFA, specifically the...
Like, okay, like, I agree with Max that the end of expansion usually is more fun to me personally because the your characters are more powerful. But the truth is that it's literally the opposite when it comes to, like, the amount of people that want to play the game, right? Like, the amount of people that play the game is the opposite line. If this is the enjoyability of your class or your character, then this is like the actual people playing the game.
The last patches of each of those were just fucking insane. They were insane content. Dragonflight started out way, 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 way better than all of those expansions, but it just only got slightly better throughout the expansion. So
Did it
most
get
of the
better? I
expansions-
disagree. I actually disagree here on this point. I think Dragonflight was a lot more fun at the start than it is now. I mean, obviously, personal opinion, right? But I do think that the start of Dragonflight was much better than whatever we have now. In my opinion. Season 3, in comparison to Season 1,
Beginning
meh.
was way better. Most of the expansion was better, but it didn't really reach this level. So what I'm hoping for is for Dragonflight as a rebuilding expansion. I can take that. I think the game needed it. I think the stuff they added was good. A little bit down on professions actually, but overall good. But now we're in Season 4. This is where Season 4 starts. Don't you all think we can get a little weird? Don't you all think we can have something like essences in the or corruption in the game that is not going to continue? And then at least when we go to next expansion, before what it was and why those expansions...
like, I'm also not sure, like, I understand Max's point of view here, that he wants something crazy, but this, like, this expansion literally was announced to have less borrowed power because we asked for it, right? Like, we literally said, hey, Blizzard, we're tired of borrowed power. Please stop. So they were like, okay, we hear you. We're not going to give you borrowed power anymore. We're going to give you a talent system that is not borrowed power. It's going to continue. And now Max is asking for borrowed power again. Which again, I personally not against borrowed power completely. I am against expansion long borrowed power. I think that one sucks. I think having something like a borrowed power system that is just like a permanent thing for the whole expansion, that one I'm not a fan of. But I do like seasonal borrowed power. I don't mind that at all. So I'm not saying that I'm against Max's idea. I do think that having borrowed power for one season would be fun. But one thing that Max maybe does not necessarily think of here, at least he hasn't spoken about it yet, is that having something that is super, super powerful at the end of an expansion makes you feel like much worse when the new expansion starts, right? Because you already feel bad when a new expansion comes out because your character loses so much power. Because you're going from being super strong to going really weak within the span of like a couple of levels of leveling from one expansion to the next. And if you also lose any kind of borrowed power system, it makes people even feel worse. And that was the main reason why people wanted borrowed power to be gone, because they were so upset whenever they lost their borrowed power, right? Especially if the borrowed power was very powerful. If you had Twilight Devastation with Corruption or Infinite Stars, whatever they were all called, your legendaries in Legion, your artifact weapon in Legion, like all of these borrowed power systems, whenever we lost them from one expansion to the next, people felt bad about it. And now Max is literally asking for that back. He's saying, hey, give us really strong, powerful borrowed power at the end of an expansion, just so we can lose it again for the new expansion, which, you know, it might be fun in the moment, but then we're gonna have the same issue again that people complain about later, right?
Is if you were to start this bar
Thanks for
graph
10
again,
months,
right,
Aichi,
and
what's
the new
up?
expansion comes out, okay, Legion ends, right? So you lose legendaries, you lose your artifact weapon.
Oh yeah,
you
he says this right
lose
here.
The Crucible system, just you lose the legendaries, you lose everything, and then you get non-tradable, only one tier 1 trade Azerite armor that hasn't been figured out yet, and it takes a whole nother expansion to figure it out. And the worst thing about these borrowed power expansions was not the end of these expansions. Those were great. It was this. This feeling was like, I logged into this new expansion, I paid this money for this new expansion, and this game is significantly less fun than it was to play 2 weeks ago. My character feels like shit. That's bad.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
And I think the whole expansion working like that didn't make sense. All I'm saying is there room at the end of the expansion when the least amount of people are playing the game to just get a little weird with it? That's all. Because worst case scenario, yeah, next expansion, you're going to have to come down a little bit, but it's this. It's not.
Why would it be this, though?
You know,
I'm not following his logic. Why would it not be this huge fall off? So he's basically saying he wants something crazy, but not like something like small crazy? So something like a tier set bonus. He just wants a new tier set. Is that what he's saying? Because if it's something like corruption, then it would be the huge fall off still. Why would it just be a smaller fall off with essences or corruption? Thanks for 38 months. Yeah, Blue, what's up? This is like being scared of a heartbreak, so you never get into a relationship. I think it's worth it for the fun while we got it. What the fuck? That's the worst comparison ever. If that's actually a super bad comparison. Okay, listen to me right now. If you know you're gonna, like, if you know you can have a relationship now with a person that you really like, and then in 4 months you're gonna have to break up with them, they're gonna be gone forever, would you still go into this relationship? No fucking way. You'd be crazy. Of course I wouldn't do that. Yes, what? Are you insane? You're fucking insane. What's wrong with you? You'd go into a relationship for 4 months when you know for a fact that you're gonna break up with them and never see them again? What's wrong with you? You're actually insane, people. No wonder World of Warcraft has a hard time balancing a game with people that are like you that are playing it. Holy shit! You guys are fucking crazy. What's fucking wrong with you? Like, oh yeah, I would like to have my heart broken in 4 months. That sounds like a great idea. That sounds amazing. Let's fucking do it. Fucking insane people. Hey D, what's up? Thank you so much for 32 months. A rental relationship. Oh my. I don't get you people though. Like, come on, like. So, what are you saying? You're saying now that we love borrowed power? Is that what? Like, that's literally what you're saying now. So you're saying we want borrowed power? Like, can you make up your fucking mind? At first you're like, we hate artifact power, we hate borrowed power, we hate renown. It feels so bad when you lose it. It's horrible. And then Blizzard's like, we hear you guys. We're gonna remove borrowed power. It's gonna be gone. You get a talent system now. And now everyone's like, we want borrowed power back. I want my heart to be broken. I want to feel really strong and then feel really weak afterwards. Let's go. Fucking dumbasses. Thanks for 28 months, pay room. Oh.
You know, I just think it'd be interesting. I like when they announced the tier set voting, I was kind of convinced they weren't going to do something like this because they were like.
So okay, so like I still agree with Max because having a little bit of borrowed power, like a small thing, that does not make you make your character feel much worse afterwards, it would be a good idea. Like if the drop off isn't as insane, right? But then the question is, what would that be? Like, if the drop off is not that insane, then would it really be that much fun? Because to me, that would be something like a tier system, like a tier bonus. Because something like corruption is obviously a huge drop off. Actually followed to type this. I always liked borrowed power, same as the majority of the player base. Whoa, Pennywise, you're making shit up right now. You followed to type this in the chat and you're literally making shit up. You just said, I always liked borrowed power, same as the majority of the player base. Where did he get that from? Did you personally ask everyone that plays World of Warcraft and figured out that the majority actually liked borrowed power? Is that what you're saying? You can't just make shit up like that. Because I always get the opinion of a lot of people, obviously, because I'm a streamer and people write in chat. I personally am not against... Well, okay, here's the thing. One thing that bothers me all the time about borrowed power is people use borrowed power as if it's like one thing. Borrowed power is like a name for a very nuanced part of the game. It's not one thing. Like, it's not... Like, in my opinion, whenever someone says, I like borrowed power, or when someone says, I dislike borrowed power, I already think that you don't know what the fuck you're saying, because what kind of borrowed power do you like? And what kind of borrowed power do you dislike? Because it's, in my opinion, it's like saying, I like food. Or, I dislike food. It's like, what do you mean you like food? Yes, everyone likes food. What kind of food? Because borrowed power is everything that we have. Like, the name, the word borrowed power, it's items, right? Like, an item, a weapon that I have here, this is borrowed power. Borrowed power implies that your character gains power through something that you will eventually lose again. Like an item, a trinket, a buff, anything really. Right? So the definition of borrowed power is very broad, very broad. The one thing that people specifically said that they did not like was expansion-wide borrowed power. So basically something like renown or artifact power or like the asteroid necklace, something like that. And to now say that that is not true, that the majority of the player base did in fact not dislike that, I would say, I mean, obviously, like, that's just something that you just made up, right? Because the amount of people that complained about the asteroid necklace and artifact power and all of that stuff and the renown thing, like, I saw people complain about that constantly. So to say that it's not true, to say that it was only the top 1% that complained about it, that's just wrong. I heard people complain about this all of the time. Pistol whip. I am borrowed power. But you are in the 1%. What you understand that I didn't even give my opinion, yeah? At no point did I just say my own opinion about borrowed power. Not once. Nitpicking? It's not nitpicking at all. What do you mean? I did not tell you my opinion about borrowed power. How is it nitpicking? I literally said what I heard people say in my chat. That they disliked it, or a lot of people disliked it. I never said I disliked it, or I like it. In fact, you still don't know if I like it or not. So, I don't understand what it has to do with me being top of the one, like a top 1% when I'm just giving you opinions of other people. It's like telling a journalist he can't write an article even if the journalist does not include their own opinion. When can you start streaming the secrets of 10.2.6? The secrets? What do you mean with that? Everyone can stream the patch whenever the patch is live. You're giving an opinion of the top 1%, not the majority of the player base. I'm giving you the opinion of people that I see right in my chat. Are you part of the 1%? Because if you're not, then the thing that I just said, the people that watch my stream, is the opinion I give to you that I just mentioned. If you think that everyone that watches my stream is part of the 1%, then yes, I'll give you the opinion of the top 1%. But then you're also wrong. Because people that watch my stream are not all part of the 1%. Also, if I hear this 1% one more time, the top 1%, the top 1%. Oh. Also, literally, Asmongold and all of his followers said they hate expansion-wide borrowed power. I guess Asmongold and all of his viewers are also top 1% then.
Like, hey everybody, vote on your best tier set. And there was a few classes where it was kind of controversial. Mainly the classes with spec trees where you can choose multiple builds. Like, I know Ellie really wanted another tier set because, like, the current one is, like, better, but it forces you into playing this fire build where, like, there's a previous set where you could play both. Same thing with Enhance. Like, Enhance currently plays Elemental, and then people who wanted to play, like, the Storm version of Enhance wanted a different...
Casual players did not complain about borrowed power. They did their stuff and didn't care about me. You're 100% wrong. I mean, literally, there was such a big outrage by the casual player base, mainly initiated also by Asmongold as well, around this whole thing. Like the whole borrowed power discussion with artifact power, all of this stuff, it literally originated mainly by Asmongold and the Asmongold community, right? Which is like the definition of like the casual player base. Hey Kieran, we don't know anything about the nerfed the versions of the tier sets. They haven't announced it yet. They're just gonna give us the tier sets at some point, and then we're gonna see. They're gonna balance it afterwards. I kind of think they're just gonna release the tier sets and then balance them after. It's gonna be super imbalanced, probably.
There's tier sets that allowed you to play
initially.
both, right? So what I thought would be really cool is
Bellular let that, I think,
you start with the patch.
It doesn't matter. Even if it was Bellular, either way, Bellular's community is also very casual,
tier sets are available, but you can put them on, like, you know, certain pieces of gear, and just like Corruption, every week, let's just say it costs 2 points to put on a 2-piece and 4 points to put on a 4-piece. And you start the season with 6 points. And just to make this as simple as possible, and every week you gain 2 more points. So by the time you're in the second month, you literally have multiple 4-pieces and multiple 2-pieces from this expansion equipped. Your character's gonna be fucking flying, right? You're just owning. And that way you don't have to choose between pieces. You can kind of play whatever you want. It's a little crazy, and maybe.
And yeah, Pennywise, welcome to how the world works.
A little weird.
People hear other people's opinion, and they
for a bit, and maybe 1 week
they copy it. That is how the world works.
Old 2-4 pieces.
Get over it.
It turns out when it's only 2-4 pieces and a 2-piece, then this class is better, and it would kind of just constantly.
But you're here watching a streamer, right?
Yeah,
so
it's not gonna be the most balanced thing ever. It'd probably be
if you don't,
but it's gonna be over in like 2 months, and people are on
think
the alpha
that
and beta
streamers and their
cares,
opinions
right? So I don't know if it's exactly something like that,
are
but
good
that is what I'm
for
talking about with this extra
the
little
game.
thing. I just
then
hope they give us something
you should
that
maybe
makes
also
the game
just stop
more
watching
fun and
streamers.
allows our power. Specifically,
because
I
you're
think our power needs to
supporting
scale out of control. If Blizzard
this
releases
whole
rotating
thing
rates,
by literally watching streamers and interacting
it's just another
with them.
season of getting your gear from
So
different
thanks
places,
for that, I guess.
and you just get more powerful, and over time the raids become easier. I think people are going to hate raiding so much in this patch. What needs to happen is we need
I
to gain
definitely
a ton
will
of
hate
power
raiding in
really
that
fast
patch.
and absolutely
But I hate
smoke
raiding.
these
I hate
fucking
farm
raids.
raiding in
Who
all
cares
patches.
if people are clearing these things easily? People do not want to reprogress all 3 of these raids again. So that could be a tuning thing, or I think it could be a cool time to add some power that kind of nerfs this thing by default by making you fucking blast, right? So, and Mythic Plus, like, yeah, like, Mythic Plus levels are going to go up a lot through the season, but again, it's like, this is like a fucking end of expansion meme season, right? Like, I just think there's a world where borrowed power works in a short seasonal format.
And I want to know what kind of bar power
Like, for
he
example,
means,
I think it
though.
worked.
Like, what?
I think the stuff from
What
the
kind of
beginning
bar
to the end of those expansions did not work. It took too long for them to be good. But the things they added in the seasons was, one, not as predictable, and two, actually ended up being really, really good for the game. And I don't think in like a PoE sense they could have kept all of those. Like, just imagine a new player starting WoW today and they have to get their artifact weapon leveled up, get some Azerite armor, make sure you have the right Legion legendaries and Shadow legendaries. You can get one of each, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I guess you could argue just like a PoE season, you wouldn't. I don't think PoE keeps all of their seasonals, just the stuff that's really sick, right? And they find some way to bake it into the game. But, you know, I think innovating more is good, and the only real argument against them trying to add more stuff is just that in the past they weren't good enough to make enough good things. It just took too long for every one of those things to get good. But what was bad about them?
You know what's actually funny to me about this Pennywise person is that they are flaming the fact that streamers give opinions and then their followers are like kind of parroting their opinion, or the streamers are talking about the majority of the player base when they are just representing like the top 1% in their mind. But it's funny because it's very ironic, because this Pennywise person also thinks that their own personal opinion represents the opinion of the majority of the player base. So anything that this Pennywise person thinks is the opinion of the majority of the player base. It's like, oh, my opinion is the majority of the player base's opinion. Because I'm a more casual person, therefore whatever I think is whatever most people think. Hey, Pentilla, what's up? Thanks for 16 months. What's up? Yeah, Lambry. Actually, most of the time. It's actually really funny because most of the time people just like disagree, and I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with you guys?
Same fucking thing. Literally just an acquisition. That's it. That's what they fucked up every time. So just don't fuck that up. And I think if you're trying to use the end of an expansion to experiment, I think experimenting with that is really fun. And I think it would be cool. Me, personally, my opinion, I could be wrong, but I think if this patch is just like the same gear progression, everyone's progressing through these raids, rotating every week, which we don't even know if that's the case yet, but it seems like that's what it is. I just think people are gonna fucking hate it. I guess
the other problem as well is with the whatever Max is suggesting. Like, I'm not saying that it wouldn't be fun to try whatever, or to try something. I think using Season 4 to test stuff generally is already a good idea. Like, I do think that's a good idea. But the problem, of course, like the Season 4, the way I understand it, is supposed to be a filler season that it doesn't have a lot of time and effort and money put into by Blizzard, because it's not a full standalone season. Well, it is, but it's not like a new raid, a new anything. Like, it's nothing, there's no new lore, nothing. It's literally just supposed to be like a filler season to not have the last season of the expansion to be really long, right? That's how I understand a Fated season, where it's like, listen guys, the new expansion is going to come out soon, but we need more time. So instead of making Season 3 really long, we're going to give you a Season 4, but it's going to be like a less effort season by just revisiting the content of the expansion, right? So I'm wondering, like, whatever Max is suggesting to give us like more borrowed power, or to give us like this or that, or test things out, like at that point, can they do all of that with the less effort and money they're putting into it, the budget that they have available for this Fated season, right? Because presumably they don't have a big budget for it, right? So I think that having this like new borrowed power system, that whatever he's suggesting, is not something that is actually feasible, just from the amount of budget and people that are working on it. Thanks for 46 months, Kara. Thank you so much. Thanks for 45 months to you as well, Skrull. I mean, unless it's something that they can bring back, that they maybe can like, I don't know, like maybe a combination of the tier sets. That is something I could think of that maybe would work. So instead of having, well, I mean, it's too late for that now because they already made the decision on that we only get one of the tier sets. But something that I could imagine they could have done that wouldn't cost them that much effort and time and money would have maybe been bringing back all the tier sets simultaneously in a sense. Like having season 1 tier set plus season 2. You know, something like that, if it somehow works together. Because then it's a little bit of extra borrowed power. Because tier set by default is borrowed power, right? So if they would have given us, instead of 1 tier set, 2 or 3 even, then that would be maybe what Max is saying, without Blizzard having to put an insane amount of extra money into it. But it's too late now, I guess. They can't really say that they're doing that now when we voted on a tier set and everything, right? And by having multiple tier sets, I mean literally it all being one. Yeah, or a 6 set bonus. Yeah, that could also be, yeah. But yeah, I mean that's something that I guess
really disliked. And I think if you're going to do an end expansion thing, I think it needs to be more creative, and I think you need to blast off more. That's it. Anyways, that's just my tangent on on season 4. So saying all that, we may have gotten our first look today at what Blizzard actually is cooking for the upcoming season. From what I can tell, I haven't read this yet, but from what I can tell from some Twitter responses I read on the way home today, it sounds like they didn't do a lot or as much as people wanted to, but I also don't know if this is the definitive Mythic Plus post for Season 4, and I don't think it is, because people are speculating as to the dungeon pool, even though we pretty much had it confirmed that it's just the Dragonflight dungeons. But the Season 4 changes applying to all 8 of the Dragonflight dungeons of, like, Heroic to Mythic 0 or whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean those are the Mythic Plus dungeons. Oh, they confirmed it in a comment? Okay. Well, I mean, the thing is, though, they still haven't, like, made a post officially announcing how it's going to work, so I don't know. If people are like, this isn't enough information for me, this isn't as much as I wanted them to cook on affixes and maybe how the keystone system works. I don't think this post was that. If that is going to exist and they're going to clarify what they want to try in this patch, it wasn't intended to be in this post, and it will just be in another post. I don't think this is the Mythic Plus post for Season 4, but we'll find out. So let's read it. So Dragonflight Season 4 brings in a variety of changes, including new adjustments to dungeons, their progression and rewards, in the player feedback loop. As part of the ongoing development in Dragonflight, the development team identified 3 issues to address based on community feedback regarding the dungeon system as it is. Heroic dungeons are barely distinct from normal dungeons at max level. That's true. This doesn't apply to us as much, because, like, when was the last time most of you who play WoW consistently have done a heroic... Like, you just don't interact with this content, right?
I guess this is
stuff to do. But a lot of people do.
Okay, yeah.
And that distinction mostly only matters during a few days after players first reach max level. True. Mythic 0 dungeons. Yeah,
it's about the minus 10 keystone levels.
Everyone in the community as Mythic Zeros, even though I don't think anything in the game has ever called them that, but I mean, it makes sense. Mythic 0 dungeons rapidly lose relevance a few weeks into an expansion. Correct. Once the Mythic Plus season starts, with occasional exceptions for the weekly event quest. True, they don't serve any purpose. True. I think people did it for, like, some achievements or, like, mounts and stuff in, like, previous expansions, but you could probably do that on any, I don't know. Let's see, the only truly endgame dungeon mode, Mythic Plus, currently revolves around a timer. This means that, other than new mega dungeons, there isn't really a place for endgame players who enjoy a more methodical dungeon pacing and gameplay. This is so much more important.
I do think, like, I agree. Like, I think whenever people say that, oh, we should get 4 patches rather than 3, it's like, just because we had that in the past, I don't necessarily think that has to be true if, on the other hand, it means we get the new expansion quicker. It's just a trade-off. Like, I understand if somebody wants to have 4 patches per expansion, or if someone wants 5 patches per expansion, or 6, like, I understand that everyone wants different things, but it's not like to say that we're only getting 3 patches and that they are putting much less money into the game. It's not true because they're pushing out the new expansion faster in comparison, right? So it's not that we're having the same amount of time between expansions, but we have less patches. We have less patches, but the new expansion comes out quicker. Again, I'm not saying that is something that everyone likes. Maybe people would rather have a really long expansion and then have more patches, right? That is totally a fine opinion to have. But we will be getting the new expansion much sooner this time, right? And that is why we have this fated season, which is fine in my opinion. Like, I'd rather have this fated season than nothing. Or than to just have the same patch for much longer. Because let's be honest here, the new expansion is going to come out late summer, right? The new expansion is going to be like August, September, October, something like this. From the roadmap at least. And that means that, in my opinion, having this fated season for a few months is, you know, like, it's better than nothing. And we also have beta testing, you know, December. There's no shot it comes out December. It's much earlier than that. That's what I'm saying. That's literally what I'm saying. Like, the reason why we have this fated season is because the new expansion comes out much sooner than usual. It will come out like late summer, early autumn, right? They literally had they posted it on this roadmap. It's right there. There's no exact date, but it's for a fact not December. Like, it's much earlier in December. Otherwise, the roadmap doesn't make sense. So, whenever you say we shouldn't be accepting this as a player base, like I don't know, I'm accepting it. I'd rather have more expansions than to have really long expansions, in my opinion. Again, everyone has different opinions. And understand, if you would rather stay within the same expansion for longer, that's fine, right? But I'd rather have more expansions. Or like a shorter time frame between expansion releases. And if that means we get one less major patch, then I personally don't care. If that's the trade-off, you know? Didn't they already confirm that the expansion is coming out no later than September? I don't think that was confirmed, like no later than September. I don't think that was something that was set.
This is actually, I think people just have an aversion to timers. Like, you can be doing a hard dungeon and they don't really care how long it takes, and even if they will always complete the dungeon in under the timer, the fact that the timer is there, just some people just don't like it. In fact, I remember when I was playing Final Fantasy for a bit, I remember bringing up in that game, like, would you guys like to have some extra PvE content with some Mythic Plus, whether you queue into it or not? And the very main thing that all of them pushed against was we would not want to be on a timer. Even though they speedrun the fuck out of those dungeons all the time in that game, it wasn't
really
the queue system or the looking for group system or the toxicity or anything. The number one complaint, which surprised me, was I don't want to be on a timer, right? So even if, like you just said in chat, 98% of all dungeons below plus 10 are in time, even if that's true, you cannot deny that the people who are actually doing those dungeons hate the fact that there's a timer on them. It's just true. Like, and I don't feel that way, but a lot of fucking people do. So them removing the timer, even if it changes nothing, will make a lot of people happy. So I think this is And you guys maybe have friends, and you have heard something like that, and it's blown your mind.
You guys maybe
You're
have
like, yeah,
friends.
No, I just don't like the time thing. It's true, man. People just want to do. They don't like the timer.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, you guys are
Oh,
gonna do
that
the whole bit
sentence
where
is
you don't
great.
have friends. You guys all have friends. I'm your friend. Look at that. Look at that. Friends. You just made a new friend. Only true. Let's see. Given the rewards, given the combination of 2 underutilized difficulties, and I just created a parasocial relationship. Let's go. I did it in reverse. Like typically streamers struggle with viewers that are parasocial with them, but I am being parasocial with you. So what now? How the turntables. We're restructuring dungeon difficulty and rewards in Season 4. Okay. Heroic difficulty and rewards will move up roughly to the current level of Mythic 0. That's really interesting. Let me read more. These dungeons will remain available to queue into via the group
Interesting.
finder, though the item level requirement to queue
Oh, they
will
didn't
also
say
go
no.
up
Yeah, they
accordingly.
said no later than
So
2024.
if this is something that they're doing in Season
Oh,
4, usually what they
2024.
do
So
in
they-
Season 4
like,
is
the
they're
basic
trying
confirm
to
it's gonna
figure
be
out
this
things that
year.
make sense for the game
Which-
overall and would go for
yeah,
it. So like,
that's-
how many times are people going to run Mythic 0s at the beginning of Season 4? Probably very little. But like at the beginning of an expansion, queuing for what you used to have to find a pre-made group for in Mythic 0 will actually, people will enjoy that. And
That's whatever.
You don't need to actually do heroics at the beginning of leveling. Like the fact that there is normal and heroic at the beginning of an expansion, just as they stated earlier, is like completely redundant. Like you don't do either of them, you immediately move on from that. I really like this change for beginning of expansion. I think the majority of the player base, again, those opinions of those people are not commonly seen. Like, dude, it's so crazy. The majority of the WoW community doesn't usually have a public-facing opinion. You see 2 main opinions on Twitter, and both of them represent a roughly small amount of people or an irrelevant group of people. The small amount of people is the high-end community who are very loud with their concerns all the time, and that resonates all the way through Twitch channels, through Twitter. It's just that community is much more active on those sites. That's the small community with big noise. And then there's the irrelevant community, and the reason I say irrelevant is they're the people who don't play WoW and are not going to play
Oh.
WoW again, even if Blizzard made every single
That's true.
ridiculous change that they suggest. They're never coming back, but they still really want to tell you their opinion on World of Warcraft.
That is true.
Those people, in my opinion, are irrelevant because making any of the decisions for them isn't going to change anything because they're not playing the game anyway.
True.
But the actual majority of the game are playing the game. They're not high-end players, and no one is speaking up for them. Or I wouldn't say speaking up for them as much as they're not, they don't really care to have, like, they just log in and farm their mounts and log off and don't give a fuck. I think that's most people who play WoW. Maybe they like hit
Probably.
a Alpha or normal at the beginning of the season, but they're just fucking vibing. They're the people with the healthiest relationship to WoW. They're not mad at all the changes, and they just log in and play the game, right? So I think this change is for them, and I think they will love this. Not in Season 4, but I think at the beginning of next expansion, this will be a very welcome change. In fact, it'll be so good that I bet if the beginning of next expansion is really popular, which I assume it will be, because BlizzCon was very, very popular talking about the War Within, I think people are going to be like, this is an amazing War Within feature, even though they came up with it in Dragonflight, because so few people play Season 4 and so many people play an expansion, as we've seen. I think people will like this. Anyways, I spent too long there. Mythic 0 difficulty and rewards will move up roughly the current level of Mythic 0 difficulty and rewards. So you will still zone in at Mythic 0. Like, you can set a dungeon to Mythic.
I'm
where you can
figuring
put
that,
in the
Chris,
keystone,
don't worry
but if
about
you
it.
don't put in the keystone and you do it, that'll just be a Mythic 8 to 10. This is a bit hand-wavy. Numerically, it's close to a Mythic 10, but not having a timer at all or affixes really offsets that quite a bit. Yeah, affixes and... But, dude, I think people will really enjoy that, for sure. Okay. The existing Mythic Plus system will pick up where that leaves off, such as the Mythic 5 in Season 4 is roughly equivalent in difficulty, rewards, and Mythic Plus rating awarded to a Mythic 15 today. Okay, so you're just got... Okay, they have a little list here. Here's the
I
visualization
like this color,
will
it's
change.
cute.
The light blue circles indicate where the affixes appear, going from current world to Mythic 2 and 5. Okay, so Mythic, like the first level of Mythic Plus adds your first affix. A Mythic 4, which should be equal to a 14, is where you get your second affix. And Mythic 10, which previously was a Mythic 20, is actually where you'll get whatever the third affix is. Wait, are there... So it's fortified and then affix, right? So it gets fortified at Mythic 2, it gets first affix at 5, and second affix at 10. So you're only going to see the second affix ever when you're doing 20s. So this is really interesting. I wonder if they're going to... Oh, and 11.0. They're already saying this is what we're doing in the expansion. Okay. good change? Well, so I think this part is a good change. I don't know if how it works for Mythic Plus changes at all, right? Like, isn't it exact? I mean, I guess if you wanted to farm 16s, you would be doing it with only, like, if they keep the current upgrade system, you know how it's, like, efficient to farm 17s, I think, at a certain point instead of 20s because they're, like, a little faster. Like, you'd be doing that farm without a third affix, which is kind of interesting, at least for now. Yeah, you can do crest farming with less affixes, yeah. I still think there's a lot to be said about affixes in general, but I don't know if that's the last thing we're going to be. Actually, they're kind of letting you know that affixes are staying in the expansion and in Season 4, right? Like, even if we don't get that post, like, they're saying these are when you're getting
I actually want to know what Max thinks
here's
about
where you're getting these
affixes in
undetermined
general.
things we haven't figured out yet, which that's pretty rough. I think if Mythic Plus players want Blizzard to cook anything, it is please rethink the I think the affix system does need to be. Is there's more to this post, I think? Okay, well, like, maybe read. I mean, is there anything more? Or is this all just explaining everything that's already been explained? I think this is just. Oh, they explain how the cap.
Oh, it
will
definitely
work
does
a
change in
little
Plus.
bit.
Yeah. The affix.
They show item level.
It does
look at the
change in
item level.
Plus.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about affixes for a second.
Do you like this
Over time,
cover?
I understand why affixes exist. Like, for example, right now, if you removed all affixes, I know this argument, people don't like this. I think if you removed all affixes, I think
Sure.
people would not like Mythic Plus. Even
This
if you
one's
kept the key
prettier.
level, but you removed
Actually, this is
fortified,
the same.
tyrannical, every affix,
looks
and you
different
just
on
did
this
it,
one
I don't
here.
think that's a better game mode. I think there is still some, like, you want the dungeons to feel different week to
Whatever,
week,
we'll
but
go
the
with
way
this.
that they're approaching it now is not the right way. And I'll give an example. People complain about affixes that are super impactful. They don't usually play the game during that week, or even, and a lot of this gets attributed to, like, high Mythic Plus pushers, but even people who are farming 20s for gear or portals or whatever, if they get bolstering Everbloom or one of those other dungeons where it's shitty, like, you're like, man, this sucks. People like affixes. The liked affixes universally across the board are the ones that get closer and closer to not affecting you at all. And when the entire system in the first place was done like Diablo, right? Diablo, you had a greater rift system, and then you had affixes. And the affixes made sense. Like, if you did a Diablo rift, and it was kind of something to think about when you got to an elite, and they had different affixes, and you didn't want some of them to be super overpowered, but it was good that it was different, right? It
You
made
wanted
the
to
game
remove
better,
bursting.
But
Bursting is a very
initially,
interesting
you didn't really know what to think of it.
affix,
over
because
time, it is very clear that people do not look forward
is
to.
very
it's
easy
okay
on
to
high
look forward to
keys,
affixes being different, but the level at which
but
they should hinder
much
you has
more difficult on
clearly
low keys.
the
So it
community has
creates a
shown
very
that the
interesting
closer
scenario
is
where
to not
people in
affecting
high
you at
keys
all
don't
are the
mind it at
preferred
all,
ones.
and
some of
people
that
in low
opinion is
keys
coming
hate
from
it.
high key pushers because they see it as push weeks. They're like, oh, we like the ones that don't do anything. But it's really just not fun. Like, it's just simply not fun to pull a pull you want to pull. That I said pull a lot of times in 1 second. But it's bolstering, and then you just die because the guy's super big. It's just bad. It's too strong. It's too. I don't know. I just think the whole system needs to be redone, because when you look at it from a very base level, they created affixes for Mythic Plus to challenge you. But it turns out that the player base universally feels like they are annoyed and not.
But he does have to specify. It's not that they created affixes to challenge you. I don't think that's correct. They created affixes to make and plus replayable, right? From 1 week to the other, or forever. I think that's a fair statement. But to say that they're just to make it challenging, I don't think that is correct.
Not incentivized to Mythic Plus, the more challenging they are, which means you want to make them all basically do nothing. And if that's the case, then what the fuck are we doing here? What are we doing? Hey, we have this system where we make negative affixes and everyone just wants them to be as easy as possible. What the fuck are we doing? That is, you have to, if you created that concept, have seen where that has gone, you have to be like, the reason we made this in the first place no longer makes sense. We have to look at it differently. So, I mean, you can...
Yeah, I'm not
you can
sure
talk about
Max
seasonal
understands the
affixes, you
purpose
can
of
look at it.
affixes.
You have seen, what the fuck are we doing? This not incentivized to Mythic Plus, the more challenging they are, which means you want to make them all basically do nothing. And if that's the case, then what the fuck are we doing here? What are we doing? Hey, we have this system where we make negative affixes and everyone just wants them to be as easy as possible. What the fuck are we doing? That is, you have to, if you created that concept, have seen where that has gone, you have to be like, the reason we made this in the first place no longer makes sense. We have to look at it differently.
Yeah, I'm not sure Max 100% is thinking about this the correct way. I personally think the main reason for affixes to exist is replayability of the content. And the biggest problem that people are not seeing, in my opinion, again, I obviously am not 100% sure about this, but I think people don't understand how important affixes for replayability actually are, because we always had them. Like, it's so long ago that we don't even remember how it is to not have affixes. So we don't know, like, we don't actually remember how bad the replayability of something is, like something like dungeons, without affixes being there. Right? And I think people are not necessarily understanding or thinking about that fact. And I'm personally a little bit scared that Blizzard gives in at some point and it's like, hey guys, we don't have any more affixes. And then Aaron gets super bored. Because the replayability of the content is just like kind of gone. It will be fun initially. Like, I think if Blizzard would completely remove affixes, I think people would be super happy initially. Myself included, it would be fun. But I do also think that it will be pretty I think people would get bored pretty soon, and then I think they also might not understand. So I think there's gonna be like a super weird thing where Blizzard removes affixes. People enjoy playing in Plus without affixes, and then after a couple of weeks they get bored of M+, and then instead of thinking, oh, I'm bored of M+ because there's no affixes, they come up with a different logical reason. It's like, oh, I don't like the season because it's imbalanced, or oh, I don't like the season because the dungeons are boring. You know? Like, I think in people's minds, they will not conclude that they get bored because of the missing affixes. So I think that removing affixes is, in my opinion, a big mistake. I don't think they can ever do that and it actually having a positive effect on like the game. I think affixes are incredibly important. Personally, again, I don't know for a fact.
I mean, you can talk
but
about
I
seasonal
think
affixes,
so.
you can talk about positive. There's so many ways to look at it, but what we're doing right now doesn't work. And I feel like the community has been saying that this whole expansion, especially since season 2 onwards. Like, you have to
Yeah,
to
exactly,
cook a little bit
Calendar.
on
I think that
man.
would be
Like,
exactly
this
what
season
would
has
happen.
to have some of that cooking. Has to happen. Or it has to happen next expansion. Like, you can't just keep... Like, because, like, if the way forward is you just keep removing the ones that are really too hard, like bolstering, and you just keep making them all easier, it's like, why are these even here? I don't know. But at the same time, if you remove them, I genuinely think it would be boring. So I don't know. Like, I don't have the best solution other than I definitely wish seasonal affixes still existed. Like, I remember, so we had a Patreon question in our most recent podcast, and it was basically asking if WoW could take some things from PoE. And we had an excellent, I strongly recommend you listen to this. Had an amazing answer. It was mainly aimed towards Dratnos because he plays a lot of PoE. But something that PoE does is, like, when they come up with something great in a season, and seasonal content, which WoW in every game is a very seasonal game in current, even classic, right? You have the chance to come up with cool and unique things. And what do you do when you find cool, unique things? You add them and keep them in the game. If you were creative and innovative and came up with this cool thing, why is it gone?
Bring back
and
Thunder.
they keep the things that are good, you know? And I feel like we've missed a little bit from trying some stuff in this game. And like part of the question was, what if like some more cosmetic rewards? What if you were a mage? You know how like green fire existed for warlocks? Well, what if like you could do something in the game? We'll talk about patches being too predictable. What if you could walk in and have a more cosmetic based reward system and have your mage spells are like some crazy plasma color or something as a fire mage or whatever. Like, you know, like a fireball looks 5 different.
Like, again, he's again toying with this, like, with this borrowed power idea that will make people sad when it's gone. Because, like, I agree, having cool visuals or whatever is fun and enjoyable. But then people are going to be very upset once they don't have it anymore, right? And they won't stop complaining. Yeah, so especially if you're also creating different animations, like a plasma looking thing, like he's saying, also it's like a lot of, like, that's not that easy, right? You don't just make spells look different. Or am I wrong? Like, not to say that not to say that Blizzard shouldn't, can't do it. Of course they can, but I don't think it's necessarily that simple. I don't know.
Different
Maybe
ways
it
in
is.
PoE, depending on how you want it, right? Like, I know WoW is super theme-based, but that would be kind of interesting. I think there's a world people have had the conversation about, like, Mythic Raid being cosmetic only. I think they've approached that the wrong way. I think my final cook on that is, I think starting all of Mythic as a cosmetic is kind of insane, because, like, imagine doing Gnarl Root and being like, you're doing this as a challenge mode difficulty. But I think there's a very clear difficulty curve in WoW. I think Mythic is completely reasonable until you get to the last two bosses. Like, for example, if Tindral and Fyrak dropped 0 gear, and Smolderon gave you whatever the best gear was in the game, which is super attainable, I think that solves a ton of problems that are in the game right now. I think if the cosmetics were cool enough, people would absolutely want to do that. And if you're talking about a true separation of difficulty, that is where Mythic becomes... You could basically call the last two bosses of Mythic a different difficulty. They truly are. Like, and you would need to find people that want to commit to that, but it's, like, kind of unrealistic that people are doing that for power, you know? But just in general, I think cosmetics in WoW are something
Hey, Exalted, thanks for 1 year. Thank you so much. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
I don't remember exactly when it came out, but it was a long time ago. Like, people were so hyped. Like, every single Warlock player and every Warlock alt went to get that shit. It was insane. Why is there not more stuff like that? People would love that. Like, there's a ton of room for people that would farm for really sick cosmetics, for sure. So I just think that would be something they could do. I mean, it's just like...
I 100% disagree with his opinion here, just because, like, I think mixing... I personally think mixing the more casual community... Well, and when I say casual, I don't mean... Like, I think it's not the word casual that I'm looking for. I'm thinking, like, mixing the communities that have different goals in mind is in fact mostly a bad idea, I think. Like, I understand there has to be some mixing. Like, because it's an MMO after all, and completely separating each player base makes no sense, because that wouldn't work. But I do think that, like, any separation that can be done, that makes sense, that is not, like, horrible, should be done. And by, like, what Max is suggesting is, like, bring more people into, like, high-end content, in a sense, for cosmetic reasons, which creates a scenario where people are doing content not for the content, but for the collectible rewards, which we already have that anyway, right? Of course we do. A lot of people just do the content for the collectible rewards, right? But I don't think you should be mixing those kind of player bases as much as he's suggesting. Because, yeah, he's totally right. If there would be cosmetic rewards on certain bosses, people would do it more. But do we actually, like, do we want that? I personally don't think so. Do we want people to, like, try and do, like, super high and plus keys for whatever reason? I don't know. I think in plus is already toxic and weird because people do it for the vault and for cosmetics, while other people do it for score, and then it already creates, like, a weird scenario where people's goals are just mismatched. And it creates kind of toxicity because you have an LFG tool that is not necessarily like giving super many details on what your goal is in a dungeon. Or at least people are not using it that way. And it creates a scenario where someone wants to just get a weekly and the other person just wants to get KSM and the other person wants score, and then people leave the dungeon because whatever their goal was has already been like cannot be achieved anymore, but the other person's goal can still be achieved, and therefore creates this like mismatch of goals and like weirdness. Shit. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's hard to tell. And Max is suggesting that we have more of these, like, cosmetics that brings more people in. Yeah, it does bring more people in. But what kind of people? People that want cosmetics. Collectors. And do we want collectors to be mixed in more with people that are raiders, right? Or implasters? Do we want that to happen? Is that actually a smart thing or not?
Like Mage Tower? Yeah, but like, okay, so Mage Tower was a huge banger. How come when we get a patch nowadays, you talk about the game being a little too predictable, and I think that's like a Dragonflight symptom. Like, I think Dragonflight almost to their mission statement was like, let's not get too weird with it, and let's just restructure and build the base game. And I think they've done a really good job at that. Except for Professions, I still think has somewhere to go, but I think they've done that. So maybe this is a future thing, but like, I don't know. When you log in for a patch, it shouldn't just be, okay, if I want a Mythic Plus, that's there. If I want a Raid, that's there. If I want a PvP, there's a new PvP season, and there's a new zone. Like, dude, there should be something like Mage Tower every single season. Like, I just think the players deserve that.
Okay, yeah.
And players fucking love that shit. And I wish they just tried to cook a little bit more with every patch. Now, next expansion, we're getting Delves. I'm not super high on Delves, but I've also never tried them. But that's like a literal new endgame path. Like, if you guys remember when they announced Mythic Plus and Legion, that wasn't something that the community was like, all right, well, this is just a new game mode going forward. It was like this niche Legion only thing that became something that obviously had to continue. And then they announced that shit in the next expansion. Delves, aren't they called Delves? What are they called? They're called something like that. Are they literally called Delves? Okay, then why are you guys fucking... Yeah, see, I getting insane gaslit, yeah. Like, that is supposed to be something, like, it's literally a vault track. Like, the vault has Delves on there just like it has rating and Mythic
I
Plus,
100%
right?
agree
So,
with
like,
Max
maybe
here that they
that'll
should
be
be, like,
useful.
trying out
That
more,
could be
but then
formulaic too. Okay, new
at the
path, new
same
Delves.
time, the community does react very negatively to something that Blizzard creates that is then not successful. And that is a little bit of a problem, right? Because if Blizzard works, like, puts a lot of money and budget into something that they are, like, trying something new, and then it doesn't succeed, like, it's actually, like, a flop, which is something you can't know beforehand, right? Like, in my opinion, it's incredibly difficult to understand or know beforehand if the community is going to like something or not. Like, even with testing, even with beta testing and alpha and all that, people still can change their opinions from it being on beta to it being live. And then if it turns out that people have a negative opinion about it, then people have a, like, they actually like it. They don't just say, oh, I don't like it, I'm gonna move on. They actually are like, it's like, oh my god, I can't believe you put money into this instead of giving us more dungeons or whatever, you know? So, like, they actually get this, like, super negative thing, like, opinion loop. At that point, it's like a huge waste of money for Blizzard if they actually put a lot of time and effort into creating something new, and then the community doesn't like it. And then you also have to think about the fact, how many times did Blizzard create something new and people loved it? Like, reinventing the wheel in such an old game, is it something that is actually, like, really doable? Like, yeah, they can try out new things, but how many times is it gonna stick? Very few times, in my opinion. The only, like, bigger thing that they introduced that actually kind of stuck is Mythic Plus. Like, look at all of this other shit. It's like Warfronts, Island Expeditions, Torghast, the Mall. Like there's a bunch of this shit that they introduced that was new. Like, it was completely new things and new ideas. And people hated it. Which, you know, is fine. It's not that everyone has to love something that Blizzard creates, but to say that they should try something new and, like, reinvent the wheel, like, it's just not that easy, you know? Sometimes they're just gonna do shit that people don't like. And then people get overly negative about it. And they're like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm paying money for this, you know? And then what are you gonna do about it? It's a problem. Yeah, Torghast was a little bit of an interesting one because I do think Torghast was actually good. Like, I think Torghast could have been very good. The biggest problem was just the way they kind of forced you to do it, which is also very interesting. And it's a very interesting topic because creating something and then not giving you a reward that is worth it for you to do makes people also, like, kind of not want to do it. Like, Blizzard needs to find this perfect balance of having new content that gives you enough rewards for people to want to do it, but to not feel forced to do it. And that is actually super hard. Because a lot of people get bored so easily if they don't get player power from it. If it's only cosmetic rewards, a lot of people are literally just not gonna do it at all, right? So it's like, how are you gonna create something that people don't feel forced to do, but still want to do? It's not that simple.
New raid, new Mythic Plus, new... I just wish they made a Brawlers Guild, made a Mage Tower, even tried something Torghasty. I know that's a buzzword, it didn't work out, but, like, I wish there was stuff like that that they tried in the game. Anyways, kind of a long tangent from where we were right here, but... Oh, that's kind of what I meant with, like, the PoE style thing. I wish... That's why I hate seasonal affixes being gone. The best affixes and the best thing they have ever made in Mythic Plus were seasonal affixes. The best seasons that have ever existed in Mythic Plus existed with a great seasonal affix. Some of them were horrible, but I don't see the reason for them...
Not everything needs a reward. Make a fun system or a fun thing to do. People will do it. Plenty of other games do that. Well, but... Like, what does that mean, fun? Give me the definition of something fun to do in World of Warcraft. Like, what is it that we're talking about? Engaging and rewarding? No, but the person literally said it shouldn't be rewarding. The person said we don't need rewards. So what is engaging that people like to do that does not have rewards in an MMO? I have a hard time thinking of anything that people would love to do without rewards. League of Legends doesn't give me shit. Besides stress, I still play it. So, like, I understand what you're saying, but League of Legends is a whole game. What are you saying? Like, are you saying, like, because at that point you have to play PvP. The equivalent or the closest thing to something that is League of Legends to World of Warcraft would be PvP. You would have to play Arena or RBG. RBG, probably. And RBG exists. So go and play it then, you know? That's the thing. Like, Just because you like it in a different game doesn't mean you like it in an MMO. It just means I will participate in activities in games without rewards. No, that's not what it means. You think that's true because you do it in League of Legends. But just because you do it in League doesn't mean you would do it in WoW. And yeah, you also do get rewarded in League of Legends. To say that it doesn't give rewards, because there's a ranking system, right? ARAM. ARAM is a good point. I do like ARAM is a very good comparison. Or a very good point. But then the problem is... Shit, that one is a bit... Okay, whatever. Oh no! Okay. Fuck it, we do this one again. Yeah, the problem with something like ARAM to compare it to WoW is like, why is ARAM fun? Because people like playing the characters against other people. Like, it's the PvP aspect of ARAM is really important. But WoW is very different. A lot of people are the most amount of people are playing PvE. And you can't really, like you cannot really create the equivalent of an ARAM in PvE. I mean, you can, technically speaking. So technically speaking, and this is something I already suggested once, actually. I suggested a fun mode that you can queue up in, where you're doing a dungeon, but with like special powers. I in fact suggested this. I remember this. Just like the fun PvP modes that you can queue up to, I suggested that you could maybe, like, why doesn't Blizzard create like fun modes where you enter a dungeon, like an M+ dungeon, but you get like special powers, you know? Like, what if I have Torghast powers in M+ as a fun mode, you know? I thought that would be a cool idea. The one issue with it, and I can see that maybe being a problem, is that people will feel so frustrated when they leave the dungeon and they're missing out on those powers. Because something like League of Legends, where you play Earth or ARAM or whatever, to have a lot of power in those modes is not as problematic as in World of Warcraft. Because in World of Warcraft, it's all about your main character. Your main character, it's about progression, about gearing up your character, about gaining player power, right? Like, you're playing the game to give your character more player power. So the problem is, if you create like a fun mode that gives your character more power like this, that is not obtainable in like a normal way, in like in your other content, then it could create a situation where you do a plus in this fun mode, you get these Torghast powers, your character is going to be super powerful, and then you leave the dungeon and your character is weak again, and it feels bad. And you cannot obtain the same power in like the normal raid or the normal and plus dungeons. And that might actually make people feel bad about their character, and it might demotivate them to gain more gear and more stuff, because no matter how much stuff you're getting, no matter how much gear you're farming, you're never going to be as strong as in this mode, you know? Like, it might be a little bit demotivating if the whole game, literally, the main reason why people play an MMO is character progression. So if you're creating a mode, a version of the game inside an MMO that just makes your character stronger than anything you could ever do normally, then I can see that being a little bit of an issue, right? While in something like League of Legends, it's not a problem. In League, you can do that. Because in League, each individual game, you start with 0, right? It's more about a PvP thing in League. Wasn't that what Island Expeditions were supposed to be in? Why? In Island Expeditions, your character did not get stronger, right? Yeah, something like Earth in League of Legends is also like not around permanently for maybe similar reasons. I'm not sure.
Creating something awesome and then removing it. I think they should continue doing seasonal affixes. And this is just a cook or whatever, but like I want to see them trying things like this. Not exactly this, but things like this. Because affixes clearly don't work right now. Try a seasonal affix, and if it sucks,
I do
it sucks,
think
right?
affixes
But if
work.
it's great, we keep it. Somehow you rotate into.
I still think that
encrypted
Max is
because
not
You tried encrypted and it worked. You tried awakened.
fully
and it worked. You tried
thinking of
prideful.
the
I know
affixes.
some people don't like prideful, but like, hey, just make it stop scaling on a 20 or something. And prideful, anyone who
Like,
hates
he
prideful
just does not
instantly
think
likes it.
about
The
the
only reason it was disliked is because at a certain
replayability
point,
aspect of the
you just had to ignore
affixes.
it because it wasn't scaled well. They could change that in fucking 2 seconds.
I do agree
Most
that people
like it
dislike
because they
affixes
didn't
and
scale that.
maybe
You could
do
I don't
something
know,
about
like,
that.
I just
but
don't understand why the best things they've made in Mythic Plus, they were just like, all right, well, this is gone forever. Let's go back to this other thing. Like, no, like, I understand why they removed them. Seasonal affixes were created to solve a problem. The problem was you're doing the same dungeons for 2 years. And then they made you get new dungeons every patch. So they're like, we don't need this old thing that solved it. But it was so much more than that. It changed the way you played the dungeons in a very positive way when done right. They actually had roughly a 50% chance of making a great one or bad. Like, almost none of them were mid. Like, they were really bad or really, really good. There's, like, maybe one you could argue is mid. But, like, almost all of them were extremely bad or extremely good. And when you come up with really, really good ones, I just don't see why you have to give those up. Even with, like, I just think this
okay, again, Max does not think of one of the issues that I see with seasonal affixes. And in my opinion, again, my opinion, a problem of seasonal affixes. Okay, and I want to actually talk about thundering here. I know this is a very unpopular opinion, but I personally did not think that thundering was like a super bad affix. I think that a lot of people disliked thundering because it was pretty difficult initially, once you were like, if you haven't played it a lot, in combination with the dungeons being completely new. Like, I think that was the main problem. We had a completely new season, which whenever you have a new season, people have to learn the dungeons, obviously, right? Dungeons are super difficult initially. The more you play them, the easier dungeons get for you, because obviously you'll get used to them and you'll remember the abilities more and you know what the bosses are doing, and yeah, the more you play, the easier it's gonna be. Let me do this again. And the problem with Thundering was that we had a completely new expansion, so people, and a new talent system. Like, all of the classes felt really different at the start of Dragonflight. Like, people actually not only did people need to learn the dungeons, people had to learn their spec and their class again, because we had new talents, right? So the new talents changed classes quite a lot, and people were so overwhelmed initially by the new talent system, the new classes, the way their rotations worked, And then you also have completely new dungeons, and then you have Thundering, right? And created this situation where Thundering felt a lot more difficult than it actually really was in the end. Just because it all got added at once, right? Thanks for Prime, Ducky Ducky. Thank you so much. And I'm not saying that Thundering was like a good seasonal affix that you should bring back. I am saying that a good seasonal affix can lose a lot of its like fun if you're adding it to a season that is completely new with completely new dungeons. I think part of the affixes that we had in the past were maybe fun because it changed dungeons that we already know are new, right? So to say that to bring back seasonal affixes, like I agree they were fun, and I think seasonal affixes can work again. But you do have to think about the fact that it's going to complicate dungeons even further when we already have new dungeons that people have to learn, right? Because not only are we getting new dungeons every season that people have to learn, we're also going to get a new affix that people have to learn. And that is something that can be complicated. So I don't know, like I'm not against seasonal affixes, but I do also think that if the seasonal affixes have an impact at, like if it's a kiss curse thing, or if they generally are like somewhat difficult to solve or to work with or to figure out, then it will be a downside for like more casual players that are already overwhelmed by it being a new season. Like it will be, I don't know, not to say that it can't do it, but yeah, it's hard to think about seasonal affixes because the only thing we have to compare seasonal affixes to are what we have known from repeatable dungeon pools, because we never had seasonal affixes for a long time with new dungeons. Like the only time we saw a seasonal affix with a new dungeon pool was at the start of each expansion, right? The first affix of Shadowlands, the first affix of BFA, and the first affix of Dragonflight. Those were the only affixes that we had while also having to learn dungeons. And which ones of those were fun? Let me try to remember. I think season 1 of Shadowlands was fun-ish. Was it Pride? No, what was the first affix of Shadowlands? Prideful? Yeah, Prideful I think people did enjoy. To be fair, Prideful is also or did they enjoy it? I mean, I personally didn't like it, but I personally hated it, but I think generally people were not upset with it. And, oh yeah, BFA was infested. People hated infested. Myself included. To be fair, I don't know if people would have ever liked it. Like, I don't think that the fact that the dungeons were new had anything to do with infested being bad. Infested was just generally, like, a very annoying affix, no? I don't know. I feel like it at least.
This philosophy should permeate throughout WoW. Tier sets. You're coming with tier sets. Tier sets, every patch are kind of hit or miss. For every class in the game, if you had 3 tier sets this expansion, you probably had like 1 or 2 that was awesome and 1 that kind of stinks. I guess season 1 was kind of weird because they wanted to like make them really basic or whatever, so most of them were not very fun. But hey man, I'm okay with having a bad tier set every now and then because you're trying things, right? But when you come up with a really good one and there's a point on your spec tree that makes no sense and everyone dislikes it, maybe replace that with some talent version of that tier set. And maybe that just makes, like, Havoc Demon Hunters. Do you guys want to lose this current tier forever, or would it be nice if there was a talent on your spec tree that gave you some kind of CDR on the hunt by using Throw Glaive that would synergize with those Throw Glaive talents on the side of the thing? It doesn't even have to come from Blade Dance. You don't just have to keep this tier set forever, but, like, parts of it are fucking amazing and super fun. So, like, every single class in the game these devs should feel like if they've made something great, you can keep it. That's kind of what the whole class tree or spec tree system is designed for. So I just think they should do that with seasonal affixes. I think they should continue doing that with tier sets and do it more than they've said they've made.
Oh, he's saying that they should keep seasonal affixes as a main affix. Ah. I mean, yeah, I agree. But then the seasonal affixes have to be less impactful, right? Like, first of all, okay, 2 problems with seasonal affixes. Number 1, a seasonal affix can be harder than a normal affix because seasonal affixes are there all the time. There's no learning curve with a seasonal. Well, I mean, there's a learning curve, but like once you know how the seasonal affix works, once you play around with it, you're done. Because it's there all of the time, like the whole season long. While rotating affixes are different, right? Like you have to relearn the affix every time it reappears. At least for a short amount of time. I'm not saying that it's like you don't remember it at all. Of course you remember it. Like it's not that you have to completely relearn an affix once it gets rotated in again. But people definitely forget how, even just within a week, like people forget so quickly when it comes to like affixes and stuff. Like people forget how tyrannical works after playing a week of Fortified, right? It's like, oh, this ability kills me, I forgot. You know, like the people forget very fast. So if you bring a seasonal affix into a rotation, into a rotating affix, then it has to be easier, because otherwise people are going to have a really hard time. Otherwise, it's just going to be a very difficult affix. And then people don't like it because of its difficulty, right? People generally don't like difficult affixes for that same reason, that it's hard to adjust from one week to the next. So that's something you would have to consider. And not to mention the fact that it would be completely imbalanced. Like, affixes have to be somewhat balanced to each other. You cannot have one affix that is rotating, that is super hard, and another one that is super easy. Because then it creates a scenario where you don't want to play during Bolstering Week, or you don't want to play during Sanguine Week, you know? So, since affixes have to be somewhat balanced to one another, that would mean that seasonal affixes would have to be similar difficulty and similar impact to the affixes that we already have, the rotating ones. Which would make them less fun and less impactful. Which is the opposite of what we want a seasonal affix to be, right? So that's, again, a little bit problematic, I guess. So unless you plan on keeping a seasonal affix and already design it around that possibility, then I don't think it's really possible to keep a seasonal affix.
More of that philosophy. And I know Theme gets away from them on that. Like, a lot of people remember Awakened being really good. They didn't start Awakened by being like, let's come up with this really cool gameplay idea and then form it for this theme. No, it was like N'Zoth and old ancient gods, and it's like, okay, you're going to click these portals and fight these aberrations. And it's like, theme is everything. So, like, to them, it's just, I feel like it would be insane to just have Awakened happen in a season where N'Zoth isn't the last boss. But and maybe I'm too far on the other side of this. I'm purely a gameplay-only guy. Right? Theme doesn't matter as much to me like that. I just feel like the gameplay would just be so much better than, and I have to feel like that's, if you're to draw the line in the sand at some point, like the actual how fun it is to play the game has to like supersede some of the theme stuff. I know I'm a little biased, but yeah, I don't know. A lot of art changing, maybe. Okay, we basically read all this.
How would he bring Awakened back?
At least for people like me. I think
Like
the
in-
changes.
Oh,
where
he's saying to just
you're
bring it
actually gonna
back?
queue heroics at the beginning of the expansion, and they're gonna matter and be harder. I think that's great. I think that is
For
the most
as a
underrated
seasonal
great
affix and
part
not as a
of all this.
rotating affix?
I think if you are the large,
that what he
not
means?
spoken for WoW player who doesn't really understand why everyone's always screaming about everything,
Because
you
then
just
whatever
kinda
I
log in
said
and have
is
fun.
irrelevant.
This post was great for you, especially more in the expansion than in Season 4. I think for people who do Mythic Plus professionally, I don't think it changes fucking
Professionally.
shit. I don't think it matters. It'll just be the same. You're just gonna have to used to things being lower, right? What I will say is I hope, and while I do like this, I think this is overall a W. I'm not like screaming it. I'm not holding up like a W sign from on top of the mountains, right? But I think this is good, and it's really good for people who are not like a lot of us, which is most of the game. But man, I hope this isn't the last dungeon post about Season 4 for sure. I hope there's more coming in this in the direction of just Mythic Plus as a whole. I think if we end up War Within starts, okay, there's a new Keystone level thing, that's fine. But we're just running back these same affixes and no changes. Like, I think that's a failure in my opinion. There's been enough feedback throughout the expansion to know that the player base is not happy with how affixes work right now, kind of how Keystones work right now. This can't be the last post about dungeon. That's it. There's literally just this. I guess I'm kind of interested in how gearing would work if it changes at all. So, like, to get the Mythic 2 out of 4, it's exactly the same. Okay, so it's exactly the same. Well, not really. They condensed a few of these. So it's 4 and 5 instead of 2, 3, and 4. And this is 6 and 7 with 5, 6 instead of 5, 6, and 7, you know? But I mean, for people who do this mainly for vault purposes, right? You're going to be... This is actually kind of nice. You're going to be running 9s. And if that last affix isn't super impactful or is super impactful, like running 9s instead of 20s would be like super legit. What is it? Let people get mythics from running Mythic Plus? At the end of every dungeon? Mythic track gear. I mean, in Season 4, fuck it. I'm down. Like, in a regular season, that's definitely bad. But, like, I don't fucking fine. Let you get mythic... Dude, give you mythic track gear in a heroic raid in Season 4. I'm hard down. I don't know why Season 4 should be challenging or... any like, no one wants this. No one wants to fucking struggle in Season 4. Just fucking... If people want to get... I guess, like, people want to get their loot. I don't know. I'm so over it. It's a meme season. Hopefully they do something more fun than just reprogressing the raids and doing Mythic Plus again. But unfortunately, and I don't know this yet, I'll kind of hold out a little bit of hope. It kind of just seems like they're running it back, which is really sad. And it
I also
seems
think
like
they're running it back.
Again, we don't have all the information yet. It
I'm not sure,
seems
though.
like
I mean,
we're
obviously I don't know,
significantly
but-
less cooking than last time, currently. Not to doom, but I hope we get more.
Less cooking than last
How do you
time.
feel about all the Dragonflight dungeons we're getting?
What kind of
back?
cooking did
So
they do
there's
last
this
time?
Someone said they clarified. I want to read that. Well, they don't explicitly say that we're getting all 8 Dragonflight dungeons.
Did we actually get
back
cooking
in this
last time?
article, ever. Someone earlier said that they made a post clarifying that we will. It's a different post. That's what I'm asking. I'm just asking where that post is. Dragonflight Season 4 Mythic Plus dungeon rotation includes 8 Dragonflight dungeons. Okay, they linked all this. In addition, Blizzard alluded to this. Dragonflight, oh, they just linked the roadmap. This is not a clarification. And again, I think they might have pivoted because I heard someone leak recently that they might not rotate the raids because there was a lot of negative feedback to that. But that's not all Blizzard announced. As new adjustments to dungeons as well as to
Yeah, maybe we don't get rotating raids.
Dragonflight
I
Season
don't
4
know,
brings
but
a
what
variety of
do they
changes,
do? So
including
they're all just
adjustments to
available
dungeons, their
simultaneously or
progression, and
what?
rewards. Wait. Oh, so this
That'd be weird.
confirms that they're my dooming earlier, right? Like this is there just is another dungeon post that they haven't released yet. My only major concern is if like Season 4 goes live and this is all they're doing. That would be crazy to me. Wait, it says that's not all Blizzard has announced. Where did they say this? Oh, they're saying Dragonflight Season 4 brings with it a variety of changes, including new adjustments to dungeons, their progression, and rewards. There are not changes to the rewards. How you progress through the key levels is the same, but they didn't talk about rewards at all. I guess you could maybe argue that, like,
No, wait, they
because
did
they're
also talk
changing
about
the
rewards,
you
right?
get, like, by key level, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's just not, like, nothing, basically nothing is changing. Yeah, I'm gonna repeat what I said before. If this is the only Mythic Plus post that they're cooking up, if this is the only Mythic Plus cook in Season 4, then
I think this is the
I
only
strongly
Mythic Plus
agree with
cook.
that. This is good though. This is good. This just is not enough, right? This is a good change.
I
but
don't think there's
it's
anything
not-
else.
Yeah. So there is no... Okay, in today's blog, Blizzard revealed that the difficulty changes are applying to all the Dragonflight dungeons, meaning that the 8 Dragonflight dungeons are part of it. That doesn't really mean that, though. They would apply to those because they're talking about Mythic Zero. That doesn't mean that that's what the dungeon pool is at all. But they did say in the roadmap, I think they said... Yeah, here it is. In Modern World of Warcraft, we will revisit Dragonflight's dungeons and raids. So I guess the question is...
I personally understand why people are so hung up on it being other dungeons. Like, it's so obvious to me. Like, I don't see a single world where the 8 Dragonflight dungeons would not be the 8 actual Dragonflight dungeons. Like, what other dungeons would they bring back? Like, of course it's the 8 Dragonflight dungeons. I don't know why people are like hung up on this one. It's like, I mean, okay, obviously I could be wrong, but I just don't see why they would be doing anything other than that.
Okay, they're gonna do all 8 Dragonflight dungeons. Kind of makes sense. You only got to see them once, you get to see them again. Most of the Dragonflight dungeons are good. Well,
I agree.
No, we actually reviewed them recently. Like, a couple of them are turbo bad, and like a few of them are really, really good. And it's like a normal dungeon season. It's not like
the
BFA
Dragonflight
tier
dungeons.
quality, but it's like a good dungeon season. It's like better than Shadowlands, but like less than BFA. So let's see. The question is whether they're gonna do the mega dungeon again, because
No, they won't.
they've been
Hopefully
sticking
not.
to 8 dungeons.
I'm coping
This
here, but
expansion as like a thing.
They're
Like
not
that's
gonna
the
do 10
Mythic Plus
dungeons.
season is exactly 8 keys. But you could make the same argument where we've only seen every dungeon so far this expansion as we've only seen it once. You've also only seen the mega dungeon as a Mythic Plus dungeon once. I'm not necessarily pushing that they should put the mega dungeon in.
Please do
I
not.
do think that more than 8 keys a season is good, actually. At
I do
least
not.
for from what I've heard from high key pushers, at least I've heard that in general, just more dungeon variety within a season is
Nope.
better than less.
Disagree.
There's probably a point where that stops, but like 10 dungeons would be preferred to 8. I don't know if 12 would be preferred to 8, but 10 would. So maybe they could do exactly 10 with that, or maybe they'll bring back another. I just don't know if we know exactly. Like, I think there's way too much speculation to say that, like, if anyone's extreme.
I don't know what the more casual player base thinks, but I personally think 8 dungeons is fine. Just because of the way the score works. Like, the more dungeons there are, the more you actually have to play to get your score up, right? Because because they divided Fortified and Tyrannical in the score, you already have to play so much with 8 dungeons. Like, you have to play each dungeon on Fortified and Tyrannical. So there's like 16 dungeons that you have to play. Every week. Well, 8 dungeons each week, because it's not Tyrannical and Fortified each week, but... and they need to farm score in. And if it's 10, that actually makes it 4 more. Because you have to do both dungeons and both Fort and Tyran. And that's so much. I personally am fine with 8.
Only confident that the season will only include the 8 Dragonflight dungeons, not the mega dungeon, and nothing else is you're just making shit up. Like, this Wowhead post is doing a lot of speculating. They basically didn't address it at all. So we'll kind of have to wait to see what that is. I really like Galakron's Fall, actually. But
Really?
I think Rise is a bad enough Mythic Plus dungeon where they can probably skip the mega dungeon in season 4. I don't know. It's pretty bad.
I hate Fall as well. Not just Rise. I hate them both. Hey, Ondama, thank you so much for 10 months. What's up?
Anyways, on a different note, though, BDG's dead. So where's that?
PG did die. He's reacting to Perplexer's Last Hope. Was that a close match? Why didn't he upload a reaction to... Wait, was that... Which one was the close one? I mean, they were all close, but... Okay, whatever. Let's just do this.
The next hour of the stream, we're gonna continue the stream as normal, but it is a remember the Factor sponsorship I told you guys about? That you guys were not allowed to eat until I did it, and then you all had to use my code and buy Factor. That is the next hour of my stream. All right, guys, here we go. We got it plated. I have a massive plate because it's the only one I have clean. But look at this. Enhance. Thing I get from them every time is they send me smoothies. So like, for me, I play a lot of hockey.
Is this like a whole
and
advertisement?
What really
or?
helps is, especially if I'm playing 2 games in one night, I bring one of the Factor smoothies and I get like that fruit, a bunch of super
Or
carbs.
is
and
there
fruit,
actually
and
content?
it is insanely clutch. I think I get like 12 of them every week, and I go through all of them. So, but they're both. We gotta just be honest. Bald bandits versus dogs. I think we're taking the dogs. We're taking the watermelon hat dogs because I want to see the dogs. I want to see them play Echo again in the upper bracket. But then I just said Yips is gonna lose. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I don't like it. I don't like it. What are the maps? Dogs has been chain resetting Waycrest Manor for the past 30 minutes. Dude, them being in one dungeon for 30 minutes that's like so normal. And chain resetting is very normal. Okay, fuck, I hate this. I hate this. Okay, Perplex versus Legendary. I also have players on both of these teams. Perplex look really fucking good. I think I'm gonna take Perplexed in round 1.
They
I
look
think
good?
it'll be close though.
I think they
And then I'll
look
take
that
last round.
good.
Mandatory hasn't looked the same.
In the
maybe
group
they'll
stage.
look way better.
I mean, they did look good actually.
In,
They did look good.
in this tournament,
Yeah, I
but
guess they did.
they looked not awesome in their tournament. I have belief in Last Hope, and I also have players on that team.
Both Last Hope and Manager look kind of shit in the group stage.
So now, before we actually do this, we should probably do this in the way that the games are played. So actually, these upper bracket games are played before these lower bracket ones are. Echo versus the Watermelon Hat Dogs. The last time they played, Echo won, but the first time they played, Dogs won. They didn't take Echo. I think Echo in the global finals is just too strong. This is really close, but I think Perplex wins. Perplex and Echo just have to end up here in a prediction because they just have definitely looked like the 2 best teams. So this is a little uninteresting, and certainly anything could happen up to this point, but this is just the safest prediction for sure. Gotta remember Echo has plot armor. Yeah, okay, so then we have to go back to here. So, man, round 1, Eclipse versus Bald Bandits. I think I gotta take the Baldy Bees. Gotta take the Baldy Bees. Eclipse is like the strongest 8 seed ever, and Bald Bandits hasn't played up to potential, I don't think, in their cup. But I think they pull it together for the globals. Am I gonna really make a prediction where Mandatory loses twice instantly and is tied for 7th and 8th in the MBI Global Finals? That just can't be right. But like, I feel like Legendary's gonna own. Didn't that happen kind of in TGP? That did happen in TGP.
No!
So the first 2 teams out in my thing are Mandatory and Eclipse. That's kind of a hot take.
That's a very hot
The
take.
last time the MDI was around, Mandatory was like actually step for step with Echo until the very last map. I'm taking Legendary. Let's see. Last Hope and Bald Bandits have Raiders on both teams.
Look.
Wait, I don't
What do
have
you think?
Raiders on Dogs. Why did I say that? Tobo? Isn't Tobo on Legendary? Do I have that backwards?
What do you think?
Tobo's on Legendary. He's not on Dogs.
Cute?
Yeah. Different guy. I don't have a Raider on Dogs.
Is he really gonna predict everything wrong? Apparently.
Man, I don't know.
Anything else? Yeah.
Last
Thank
Hope and
you.
Bald Bandits. I might have to hit that coin flip real quick. Heads is Bald Bandits. Tails is Last Hope. It is Bald Bandits. Dogs versus Legendary. I got Legendary. And then we're on the last
He's
day
doing
now.
great, guys. He's doing
Upper
great.
bracket
Keep it
games
up,
played
Max.
First. I think Perplexed beats Echo in the upper bracket. Lower bracket, I think Bald Bandits beats Legendary and makes top 3. I think Echo beats Bald Bandits, and I think Echo with a larger map pool edges out Perplexed and wins.
He's doing great. Keep it up. Well,
That's the guess. Prediction title. It's gonna happen.
I predicted
again,
pretty
isn't
wrong
it?
as well, though. I can't talk shit.
I'm gonna be rooting hard for my boys in Perplexed, though, and Bald Bandits and Legendary. So yeah, the teams that have players of mine on there are Bald Bandits, Perplex,
What's the time? Okay,
Legendary, and
the only thing I did today was do my nails
We
and
have,
listen to Max talk.
1 on Bald
Didn't play a
Bandits,
single in Plus
2 on
Dungeon.
Perplex, or 2 on Legendary.
It's fine. I
1
just
on
wanted to chill
Perplex,
today anyway, though.
and 2 in Last Hope.
Because I'm
Who's
kind
Who,
of,
Goop,
like,
and
I'm
Who?
kind of
On
tired
Last
as
Hope,
fuck.
Smack. I think he's playing Mage for them right now, and he played Feral in this last raid.
I
and
did
Warrior
not
in the
sleep that
previous
much in the
one.
weekends.
You forgot about Smack? Bro, Smack is sick. Smack's real good.
Alright, let's get rid of all of this. We need to watch more content because I have to leave so much soonish, so I have no time to play a dungeon.
Are you watching my stream, by the way?
Yeah.
Do I look like I'm a Lego guy?
You do look a little bit like a Lego guy, yeah.
Hello? Hello? Hello. How are you doing?
Pretty good, how about you?
I'm good. You ready to talk about some tier sets?
Yeah, I got 3.5 hours till raid, so.
Oh, perfect. I have 3.5 hours until I have to go to dinner, so.
Alright, this works out nicely.
Yeah, we should be able to get through all of this. Well, my first thing before we really talk
I want to listen a bit
is
to like a
what's your
potty C. I haven't
opinion
listened to a
of
single
this in
potty
general?
C.
I kind of just went over it a little bit, but like a pretty big departure of what they're doing before. What's your take on this?
What kind of potty C do you guys recommend?
I haven't been watching it recently, so I don't know if this take is the same as yours, but I understand why they're doing this rather than like giving us all of them. I hope that
Potty C. Let's see. Also old. Maybe it's is there like an MDI talk after the finals? This one 2 weeks ago? No. Oh, this one. Okay.
The competition was weird, oddly to say, it was not as crazy as we expected.
I'm really hyped for 10.2.6. I know we can't talk about that yet, but
you know, maybe as the season winds down towards the end, you find a point where you're gonna stop playing. But we did that before as well.
I know the Race World First gets literally millions of viewers and hundreds of thousands concurrently at all times. I think that would make the race twice as popular. Dude, that was one of the best Patreon questions ever. That was sick.
All right, episode 15 is the number of this episode, recalled by me immediately at the start during the intro. And this week we've got, actually, there's a pretty jam-packed This Week in WoW full of stuff that will be being announced this week. We've got Dragonflight Season 4 dungeon changes ahead. We've got a development update, and we've got more hero talents coming. But all of that is in the future, so we'll have to talk about whatever's in all of those things in next episode. The big thing that happened this week, I guess, was MDI concluded, which we've done a lot of episodes about MDI, so if you want to hear us go really deep on it, like 2 of our last 4 episodes, you can hear that. But this week, I think we'll not spend too long on it. Is worth mentioning, though, Echo... Okay, spoilers. Echo lost MDI for the first time since I've been casting World of Warcraft. The last time before this was Sydney in 2019 or something, which was wild. Unbelievably dominant run, but I mean, hats off to Mandatory for dethroning them. It was really cool. Max, for you watching on the co-stream, like how hype was that at the end of the tournament to see Echo lose? Obviously, somebody watching Echo lose has special value for you, I'm sure.
yeah. I mean, it was like surreal. Like I was watching it, and like even watching Mandatory get out of the damage amp, or about to go into the damage amp phase on Dantalian Axe, I was like, wow, this might be happening. I'm like, wait, how long is this phase? Like, imagine, like, is there still a way Mandatory could lose this? Like, I didn't believe it until it actually happened, because I think most viewers would probably relate that, I don't know, they just seem like a step ahead of every team when when they do this kind of stuff. And also, it was super surprising to see.
Hey Ace, it was a lot of fun. I loved it.
Just randomly be mandatory again after like a year hiatus of not looking like the same team until this weekend. So that was really cool. But yeah, seeing Echo lose is awesome. Love that. And I'm glad they didn't get the. On a personal level, I'm glad they didn't get the season sweep of all of the esporty type things in WoW. So yeah, that felt good. Also, but even then. And this, like, all props to Mandatory. Mandatory is great. I still felt like I was the most impressed by Echo over the weekend. Like, specifically the strat that Mandatory beat.
I do think Echo played the best.
Echo, as far as we know, did the Rise thing, right? Like, all the cool, crazy, wild things. Like,
I do think if there was a double... well, actually, I mean, obviously Mandatory won fair and square, right? Of course. But I do think that from like a... I mean, it's hard to tell, obviously, because the competition works how the competition works. But if... like, I could kind of beat themselves a little, which, to be fair, that is how it is, right? That's how the competition works. If no matter how good the strategy is, if you cannot execute it, you lose, right? But Echo did have the best strategies overall. They didn't execute them in the end, which is obviously means they played worse, right? So I'm not sure what happened with Echo. Like, I'm not sure if they were like just not having a good time or they didn't practice enough, or because usually they execute their strategies. Like, usually they do things. Like, if they have a strategy, they execute it, right? So I'm not sure what happened this time. One thing I do think is true, that the competition was better. And one thing to note about the competition being better is that it also pushes Echo to play even riskier. Because sometimes in the past, Echo won, even though they made mistakes. But Echo is really good at recovering from mistakes. Like, if Echo makes a mistake, they don't lose out on like 20 minutes or 5 minutes. They lose out a little bit of time. Like, they have a death here and there. They're really good at improvising, or like recovering and being able to get back into their run. And then they end up not losing that much time. So if they play against another team that is a lot slower than them, a lot slower for MDI like style runs, then they can make a mistake and still win. But the thing is, the competition was so good this time around that if they made a mistake, they did not win anymore. And that is something that we don't have all the time. So this time they got punished more for their mistakes, for sure. One time they also got a little bit unlucky where they lost the Rise because the dungeon was fucked up. Like, they had an issue with like the Chrome ERP was longer and stuff, which really fucked them up.
Like, they just had better routes than everyone in like every dungeon. I don't feel like they got out-stratted in this tournament at all. Like, as someone, but yeah, you have to think I'm biased, right? Like, I'm a strat guy. I'm like, I don't know if you guys have seen Dune 2 yet, but like, when I see someone snap across the map 3 times in Rise and snap trash onto boss from like 2,000 yards away, I'm like, Lisan al-Gaib, you know? I'm like, that's the man. As is written, what an insane strat. That's all I care about. So like, on the strategy side, I still feel like Echo is just miles ahead of the next team. But seeing Mandatory compete with them on that level was really
I should do a
sick.
podcast.
So
I would do a
happy when they won,
podcast.
so that was really cool. I mean, I know that.
Like,
I know
everyone and their mother is doing a
fighting
podcast,
against
but I
those
kind of
people
want to
for
just
years and then winning
hang
for the
out
first
and
time. I'll
talk
never
about
forget that.
things.
So, yeah, it's super hype, and
I
I hope
need
that
a
I hope
podcast
this
partner,
momentum
though.
carries them into being a more competitive.
Because I
TPP
don't
team
think
in the
I should be
future.
talking to myself.
And just I hope to see them play like that in all of the upcoming dungeon stuff. I think that was super cool. I don't know if they will. I don't know if they said they're, because I could totally
Calandra.
respect. Because like, there's a lot of
You are
downside
obviously good
to
enough
the
for me, of
MDI.
course
I
you
could
are.
totally respect being like, wow, we finally beat Echo, and just like hang up your boots. Like, that would go so hard. So I don't know what they're gonna do, but it was really impressive.
And then, of course, our resident cat is returning to us this week, which, off of a medium successful MDI performance. I don't know, Dorky, how did you feel about how MDI went for you guys? You
Medium successful.
Obviously, I mean, if you don't win, there's going to be some sadness, but overall, how do you feel about how you played and how the team did?
Yep, yo, I'm back. I hate myself, but hello. Been a absolutely awful month. So yeah, I mean honestly, we performed better than I expected, because we kind of had a really rough practice 2 weeks or so. We didn't get to do as much as we wanted. There's been some downsides where like some of us were on the verge of giving up and just fuck it, YOLO, whatever, just send it. But I mean, like, coming in fourth is like still like decent for us, all things considered. And
It was a stack tournament.
right. Well, not only was it a stack tournament, but we were also just like underperforming. I'm still like happy with our results, though. I
Okay.
would say though, like, the competition was weird. Oddly to say, it was not as crazy as we expected. I felt like most of the teams underperformed as well. Like, yeah, like Echo definitely had the best strategies, and they were definitely looking like the strongest team. But because of how MDI works, they were not the Echo we were used to seeing. Like, their consistency was much lower. They were looking super vulnerable. They were making a lot of mistakes, and it was kind of surprising to us. Mandatory, on the other hand, was like quite the opposite. Those
Yeah,
guys,
they were
they
clean
were
as
nasty.
fuck.
yeah, they were the most consistent team of the tournament. But like, what made it feel really weird for us, at least as competitors, it felt like we could have won the tournament too. Like, it felt like we could have beat any of these teams. We're just like looking at their times, and we're like, man, this is like not that crazy. Because leading up to the tournament during practice, we're like, ah, we're so screwed, man. Our times are probably garbage, and like, we're, we're expecting these teams to pull out some crazy stuff and like, super cool tech, and they're all gonna be like a minute faster or whatever. But it actually turned out like not really. Like, honestly, if we had performed better, I mean, obviously, like, anyone could have said the same, but had we done what we were putting up in practice, we could have actually won. And a lot of MDI is about like beating yourself, which like we saw a lot on Twitter. Like, Echo was kind of like, well, now specifically, we were saying like making tweets saying like, oh, like, I choked, and like they basically beat themselves. But like that's pretty much MDI. MDI in a nutshell is not necessarily
Yeah,
about
the weirdest thing about the weirdest thing about the MDI, and this is obviously something because like it's PvE, right? But the weirdest thing about the MDI is like they don't play against each other, right? Like, yes, they do, but not actually, right? Hey, Jens, good evening. So one team plays a dungeon, and the other team plays a dungeon, and then you're comparing the time. They don't even have to play at the same time. One team could play first, and the other team could play afterwards, and it would be the same thing, as long as you don't give the team their information. Because, of course, giving the team their information would change the mentality a little bit. So, technically speaking, all of the teams that are competing in the global final could play a dungeon. Then you take the time, and then you compare it and say, okay, you played the best, you win this dungeon. Right? So the weirdest thing is that, let's say two teams play against each other and they play Black or Cold. One team wins. This same team that won could have lost against another team that played the dungeon literally like 20 minutes afterwards, right? Like, just because there's no interaction between the teams. You just play the dungeon at the same time. That's it. And so that's like the weird thing about MDI. Obviously, it is kind of important that they play simultaneously against each other. Otherwise, the viewing experience would be a lot worse, and the whole format wouldn't make any sense, obviously. But yeah,
like,
I do
how
have to
much growth
leave
you have.
actually.
It's more about how consistent you play.
I'm gonna have to watch this Potty
And
C at some point.
yeah, on paper, Echo probably
No, that's not why TGP
should
is
have
more
won.
popular. TGP
But
is more
the same could
popular
have been said
because
in the
it's
first
doing high
season
keys
of
rather than speedrunning,
Dragonflight.
right?
I was actually talking with a bunch of the Echo boys. I was like, I had a talk with Maris earlier, and they actually felt like it was a complete opposite situation of season 1 Dragonflight.
But anyway, I
In
do have to
season
go,
1
unfortunately.
Dragonflight, Mandatory actually had the better
Sorry for the
strategies
short
and the
stream,
better
and sorry for
times,
literally
and
not
on
playing a single N+ dungeon. I was just like doing my nails and watching YouTube videos. Sorry about that. But yeah, I did have to chill a bit today because I'm like, I don't know. I'm a bit messed up today. I'm a bit tired, out of energy, kind of just like, ugh. So I figure I'm chilling a bit today. But I'm really excited for the Pirate Patch tomorrow. I will be playing it as soon as it comes out. I will stream a bit later because I'm probably gonna hike a little tomorrow because I'm streaming later. So yeah, I'll see you tomorrow at around, I don't know, let's say 1 p.m. something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna leave. I have a meeting that might or might not have something to do with tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited for the Pirate Patch. Get your pirate outfits ready. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice rest of your day. Remember to follow my stream if you haven't yet. Check out my YouTube channel and my Instagram and my TikTok and my Twitter. Follow me everywhere. And thanks for being cool. I will host somebody real quick before I leave you guys. Hope you all had a nice week and hope you have a nice week as well. I know that Mondays are Mondays, you know. But hopefully your Monday is not too bad. Let's host Stove.
Okay.
Okay, he says. Alright guys, have fun watching Stove and I see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching and have a nice rest of your day. And goodbye.